In a world where voices are silenced,
Please.
one man refuses to lie down.
It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done.
He's been punted not once,
40 years they've been trying.
not twice,
You couldn't fire somebody if they were horrible, doing a terrible job.
but 3 times.
You're fired.
He doesn't tell you what to think, but gives you something to think about. Welcome to the Bonafide Podcast with Luke Boner. And he's not
All right, here we go.
done
Hold your ears, folks.
yet.
It's showtime.
So, g'day, folks, and welcome to another Bonafide Podcast. We are moving through them. It is episode 103, and have we got some content in store for you? But we're very excited here at the House of Bone
Yeah.
because we've got merchandise, and I had nothing to do with it. You did it all.
Well, I think more of the praise has to go to Nathan.
The phone boy,
Yeah.
yeah,
The receptionist.
the receptionist.
Yes. If
Yeah.
it wasn't for him, I don't know if it ever would have gotten done.
He's a very good boy.
Yes.
So what have we got? T-shirts, coffee cups,
Oh, yeah.
caps.
Look, the link is in the description on wherever you're listening to this. So have a scroll, but we are giving some merch away. All you got to do is send in a voicemail with a story or answering one of the questions we ask in the podcast.
a comment on one of our stories.
Yes. And we're also doing a separate giveaway for our subscribers on our Facebook page.
Your comments, no longer than 2 minutes, no shorter than 20
Oh,
seconds.
doesn't matter. Just whatever.
You know when you enter a competition, like on the back of a cornflakes packet or something,
Yeah.
it always says in 25 words or less.
Does
Why?
it?
Why?
Oh, I don't know. Efficiency? Someone's got to read
It's
it.
25 words or less. There's a very funny... Did you ever watch The Young Ones?
No, no. What is that?
You would love it. You would love The Young Ones. It's British, set in the very early 80s in London. 4 university students share this absolute derelict flat, typical uni students.
Yeah.
One studying medicine, that's Adrian Edmondson, who's mad as a hatter. He looks like a bikie. He's got tattoos, studs, piercings, spiky hair, Doc Martens boots. Rick Mile, played by the late Rick Mile, I don't know what he's studying, but philosophy, I think, but he's the people's poet, obsessed with Cliff Richard. There's Neil, the hippie,
Yeah.
and there's Mike, who thinks he's a bit of a playboy. It is just absolutely brilliant. It was way ahead of its time, and I want you to watch an episode
But why?
because you'll laugh.
Okay.
Anyway, Adrian Edmondson, Vivian. Now, Rick enters a competition to win a Ford.
Oh, come on.
Mondeo.
This is definitely more than 25 words.
And he had to say in 10 words or less why he liked cornflakes.
Oh.
And so it went cornflakes, 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 cornflakes.
Yum.
And Vivian goes, that'll never win. Why? It's only 9 words. Oh, right. And so he writes down one more. And they win the car.
Oh, there you go.
Anyway, Alexi Sales in it. It's just brilliant. The Young Ones.
Yeah. Okay. I'll look it up. And just a exciting reminder, next week is National Wave Day. Oh, thank you, Wave Day.
Yeah, thank you, Wave Day, where we want people to show a bit of courtesy and share some love on the road. We'll have more on that down the track.
Yes. I think we'll do a live stream next week. But excitingly, Luke, we have got bumper stickers that we'll be giving away. And I guess we'll put them on the merch site. Pretty sure it was a listener that gave us this idea. They said, make a bumper sticker that said, don't be a wanker, be a thanker. And that's what we've gone and done. I cannot remember who it was that gave us that suggestion, but if it was you, let me know. We'll send you a sticker. I mean, that's a great bumper sticker.
So how do we get them? Oh, people can buy them.
Yeah, but we'll be giving them away on National Thank You Wave Day. Look, we'll have more in the next week, but yeah, very exciting. And just a reminder, if you can please follow or subscribe to the show wherever you're listening, Spotify, YouTube, Apple, please do. It really does help us reach new audiences and we'll love you long time.
So, National Thank You Wave Day. Thank you to James Ward, drive.com.au. And we'll have more on that. I'm very excited. We're going to make the roads a bit happier, a bit friendlier.
We love the news. Something to think about. Something to laugh.
Did you see this footage of this assault outside a Melbourne cafe. I am still shaking my head over this. If you haven't seen it, folks, there's a Melbourne cafe worker and she's standing there with a tray with food on it. And this woman is completely unprovoked. This woman, I'm not sure whether she was a customer in that cafe or just walked around the corner. Wait till you see the video. She walks past this waitress and smashes the tray.
Yeah.
A bit of plate went up into her face, chipped her tooth. Anyway, Melbourne has really come to this waitress's rescue. A local dentist saw it and fixed her teeth for free. But it happened on the Anzac Day weekend. Have a look at this.
If you are listening, you can switch over to video and watch this with us, or just, I'm sure you can get the picture. But Luke, let's watch this.
Okay.
Walking, bam. Oh,
What the... And
What?
she walks off.
an entitled
Hang on,
arsehole.
just freeze it there, as Peter Sterling used to say. Freeze it there. Is she coming out of the cafe or is she just a random pedestrian?
I think she's a random pedestrian.
Because I was thinking, has she come out of that waitress's cafe and maybe they've had an altercation inside about the bill or service? The news reports are saying she was just a pedestrian.
I think it looks like she's a pedestrian. I don't know. I guess we won't know unless they come out and say
Well,
something.
they're looking for her. They're searching for her. They'll find her.
Yeah, I mean,
Someone
the
knows
image
who
is pretty
she is.
clear. Yeah.
But what?
Why would you
stick
do
with
that?
Me. Stick with me. Why would you? What's the go with that?
I don't know. I feel like it's a sense of entitlement. This girl is walking like at a pace. The waitress turns around the corner, and I reckon this girl probably thought, "Oh, this person is like coming in my way."
No,
and
she's
just-
not. Read it. Let me see it again. The waitress is standing there with her back to the wall, waiting for her to walk past. Would you play it
Oh
again?
no,
Kel?
she walks past.
No, I want to see it again. Okay, I'm judge, jury, and executioner here. This woman should get life. No.
It's a bit harsh.
Okay.
This way. Okay. See, she's walking around the corner with two
No,
hands.
she's having a bad day.
She's having a bad day. What an absolute dickhead.
What?
And she throws it up and then hits it back down again. Did you notice that? Look,
Oh yeah.
throws it up and then hits it back down again. Very intentional.
Imagine being married to that.
But how, I don't know, you've got to be pretty entitled to do that. Or there's a piece of this story that we're missing. I love that a local jiu-jitsu studio also offered free self-defense classes.
Yeah, but what could you do holding a tray?
I
And
know,
she didn't
but
see it coming.
still, I know, but still, it's the thought that counts.
Anyway, if you've got some thoughts, do you know her? You can't name her.
No, don't.
Don't name her. But she will be found.
Yeah, if you do know her, send the details on to the police.
Can you imagine the media throng following her to court?
Yeah.
And a current affair will do a special, Channel 7 will do a special. There'll be a whole thing on her.
Oh, yeah.
There'll be a whole... Anyway, what did you think of Jimmy Kimmel's joke? It was during a monologue of his program shortly after the assassination. What's wrong with me?
Lots.
It was shortly after the assassination attempt on Donald Trump at the Washington Hilton. Jimmy Kimmel, who is not a Donald Trump fan,
No.
Trump tried to get him cancelled, remember?
Yeah.
Hates him. And he delivered this. Now, I want to ask the question, folks, is this just humour or is it sick? Melania and Donald Trump and the rest of the Republicans are saying Kimmel should be cancelled, he should be taken off television. It was inciting violence. Is this just an innocent joke or is it really bad taste considering there was an assassination attempt on the President of the United States? Let's have a listen.
Lady Melania is here. Look at Melania. So beautiful. Mrs. Trump, you have a glow like an expectant widow.
It's kind of funny.
Is it?
It's kind of funny.
If you're not a Trump...
I'm sorry,
lover-
Trump is killing God knows how many people in Iran right now. I don't know. I
This
feel
is a
like he's
president
kind
that
of
has
lost
threatened
it.
to obliterate Iran, take them back to the Stone Age.
Yeah.
So in context, is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely. I think so anyway. I mean, it's like if you're going to dish it, you have to be able to take it, right?
What do our listeners think? Funny or not? I want thumbs up or thumbs down. Let us know.
I'll put a poll on Spotify and
Would
you can
do
vote.
that?
Yeah.
Okay. Jimmy Kimmel, funny or not?
Yeah.
That's all. And we'll take a poll.
Yeah.
And next time we meet, we'll let everyone know what the result of the poll is. But you've got to vote.
Yeah. I think it's deserved.
Now, here is a story that I wanted to run by you, Millennial. Mm-hmm. It's the story of a school where parents were told to use email social media or old-fashioned snail mail to invite their children's school friends to birthday parties to avoid offending classmates who are not on the guest list. It's a primary school that's encouraged parents to send birthday invitations via Australia Post or email to avoid causing children anxiety. Another school has advised parents not to distribute birthday invitations to children because it upsets and confuses the kids that aren't invited. Another preschool has urged parents to give invitations directly to parents to avoid the fuss. Now, surely kids need to learn that in life you don't get invited to everything. Do they need to learn that sometimes things don't fall in your favour? When we were kids, you had two captains and the rest of the class stood in a group and the two captains would choose sides for basketball or footy or for softball or for whatever. And if you were the last one picked, you probably felt pretty bad. But this has been... Were people traumatised by it? You know the song, you do know this song, Genesee at 17?
Remind me.
You learned the truth at 17.
Oh.
Okay.
I thought you were going to, I was only, oh no, that's 19.
It's 19,
isn't it?
that's John Schumann and Red Gum.
Oh, whatever.
Please God. At 17, Genesee talked about, she was the odd one out. She was skinny, she was shy, and she said, kids whose names were never called for choosing sides at basketball. And obviously that stuck with her for many, many years to write those lyrics. She felt left out. What do you think? I mean, let me just say this. If one of the kids in the class has a birthday party on the weekend, Monday morning, all the kids are to come back talking about it. Yeah. So the kids who aren't invited are going to find out that they weren't invited anyway.
What grade? Did it specify what grade?
Primary school and preschool. It's a number of schools, Kelsey.
I think...
It's a number of schools that have this policy that you either invite everyone or not at all.
Yeah, I think from kindergarten to year 3, I think you have to invite the whole class.
You can't tell people. What if you hate little Freddie because he's a prick? Or Joanna, who's a bitch?
Well, if there's a mutual understanding that these two kids don't like each other, then
are you
fine.
saying... if you have a little one... And you have a birthday party for your little one, you're going to say to your little one, your whole class is coming or not at all?
Well, what Mum used to do and Dad, we wouldn't have birthday parties from up till year 3, but they would bring a cake into the school because Dad's a chef. He would bake a really nice cake, bring it into the school, and that's when I would celebrate with my
Can't do that anymore.
Class
There
friends.
are some schools that don't allow unhealthy food. There's too much sugar, and God forbid there's nuts in it. God forbid there's nuts in that cake. A lot of schools don't allow you to bring your birthday cake to school. I'm not kidding.
Yeah. Well, back in my day, that's what we used to do. And then from year 4 onwards, we had birthday parties. And I feel like from that point on, you can pick and choose who you invite, because I feel like by the time year 4 comes around, you've got your solid friend group and you don't really want to go to some rando's birthday party. But I think kindergarten, year 1, year 2, year 3, they're really sensitive ages for little kids. I think between those years, you've got to invite everyone to the birthday party. Year 4 onwards, do what you want to do. And I guess it depends on your school if you can bring a cake in or just be very discreet about it. I think the issue comes from inviting half the class and not inviting one person. But if you're only inviting 3 friends from your school in class, then that's fine. But it's when you invite everyone except for 2 people.
Okay, what about choosing sides for basketball, as Genesee sang about?
Yeah, it's hard.
I grew up with that.
I know. I grew up with that too.
I was always first picked.
I was never, and it sucked.
So were you traumatised?
It made me sad at the time, but then I think I got older and I was I wouldn't pick me either,
but
did
it make you want to train harder and get better?
Absolutely not. When kids are sad, half the time it doesn't make them motivated, it just makes them sad when you're younger. But I think when you get older, you get more of a motivation behind it. But when you're that age, I think the age really matters and how developed the brain is. When I was younger and I didn't get picked for things, that made me sad. But when I was over the age of 12, I was oh God, thank God I wasn't picked.
But you were lazy when you were little.
No, I wasn't.
You didn't like exercising?
It was
hell to get you up to go to nippers. You didn't want to do nippers.
Dude, we lived on Warriewood Beach that had a mountain of stairs to climb.
See?
Nobody would want to do that.
You see what I'm saying? I remember when I was in first form.
What?
Year 7.
Is that year 1?
Year 7.
Oh, okay.
First form.
I don't know what that is.
You had first grade up to sixth grade, and then you went into first form through to sixth form, but it's now year 7.
Oh, whatever. Dinosaur
And
language.
I'm playing basketball for Narrabeen High, and we played Balgala Boys High at Balgala, and we got beat 104-4. It was an absolute hiding. And they had one really good player who I ended up playing reps and state basketball with many years later. Good player, left-hander.
Yeah.
Anyway, and by the way, we were 4, they were 104. I scored 2 of our 4
Oh, good work.
because I was cherry-picking.
Oh, pig's ear.
No, I was cherry-picking. I was terrible. Yeah. Did that make me want to give up? Do you know what I said to myself? That's never, ever going to happen to me again. And I trained harder.
Oh.
It's true.
I should make a movie about it, Luke.
But I thought, I didn't give up. I thought that is never, ever going to happen to me again.
Yeah, but some people...
And I trained harder.
Yeah, I guess I really think it depends on the age of the person, whether or not you get sad or you get motivated. And it also depends. Some people like sport, some people don't. I couldn't care less if I was picked in sport because I would much rather be doing art.
Well, don't be disappointed if you're not picked.
But when I was younger, like below year 3, it hurt. It's sad.
If you weren't invited to a birthday party...
It's sad.
And on Monday, everyone comes to school and says, hey, Fred, that was fantastic. I love that.
It's sad. But also maybe you need to grow a tough skin.
Well, that's, life teaches you. It's like getting an award or a medal for just participating. Life isn't like that. When you enter the real world and you enter the workforce, if you're not doing your job, you don't get a medal for turning up. You get the punt. So I don't think it trains you well for the real world. Do you know what else? I'm taking too long on this, but...
Yeah, no, I like it. Keep going.
There has also been directives sent to parents about what you can and can't do at your birthday party. And
What?
I'm not making this up. Google it. There have been schools where the principal has suggested, pass the parcel, there must be a little prize under every layer of wrapping.
Well, that's how pass the parcel works.
Not because people get disappointed, they miss out.
No, but pass the parcel works
chairs.
like that, though.
Musical chairs have an even number of chairs all the time. Well, then what's the point? But I remember there was a school that sent out a letter to parents saying, pass the parcel should have a little present under every layer of wrapping. The world's gone mad. The world's gone mad because they don't want someone missing out.
Well, I can only find information about the invitation thing. But either way, pass the parcel, you're meant to have a little thing under each wrapping, and then the really good present, you've got some better presents scattered throughout, but the best present is the one in the middle.
God, I'm glad I'm not a parent anymore.
Oh, we are too, trust me.
Next thing, pin the tail on the donkey. Peter and the RSPCA, they'll have that ban.
Oh, get off
They'll
that.
have that ban, and you have to have a sign up saying no donkeys were hurt in the making of this party.
God, get off your soapbox.
Pauline Hanson, 13K on airfares claimed to go to a number of functions. Was this constituency based or was it One Nation based? You remember Bronwyn Bishop, who was Speaker of the House many years ago, member down here. Member for McKellar.
Yep.
She got a helicopter
Helicopter.
to go to a fundraiser. She ended up paying the money back, but only after there was a massive media stink over it. Pauline Hanson has claimed more than 13K for 2 trips in October that included fundraising events, attendance at an event connected to Gina Reinhardt, and local party branch meetings. The expense included flights from Hobart to Brisbane in time to catch a private jet fund. Now, the private jet was funded by Gina Reinhardt, okay?
Yes, but she had to get to the jet.
Yeah. Pauline Hanson is the first person to point the finger at improper spending of taxpayer money. Is this improper? Do you think this is hypocritical of Pauline Hanson, the champion of the people? Just bear in mind, Kelsey, she has a huge electorate because she's a senator. She represents all of Queensland, so she has a hell of a lot of ground to cover to look after her constituency, which is Queensland. But I could hear her screaming at other politicians for doing this.
Oh, well, this is why I think it's made news, because, you know, Pauline Hanson is very ready to call other people out for this stuff. But me personally, I understand that politicians need to travel, that it's part of their job. They need to travel. They need to go to Canberra. They need to need to visit. There would be an uproar if politicians didn't go to their local bases and, talk to the people on the ground, there would be uproars there are when politicians are completely disconnected from their electorates. So I understand that politicians need to travel, and I think there needs to be more transparency and almost education around what is normal for a politician to spend on travel. Surely there has to be caps. Like ex-politician, they're a senator, they get $100K a year to spend on travel. That's it. Anything above or below that, anything above that, they pay for it out of their own pocket. Councillor down the road gets $10K. I don't know, but surely there has to be caps on it because they have to travel. Yes. So I think we just don't know what a reasonable number is.
I agree with you, believe it or not.
Can we ask David Littleproud that? What is a reasonable number to spend on travel?
We'll talk to David Littleproud next week, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what are the rules? And if you are servicing your electorate, and when you're a senator, that's a whole state. I mean, imagine trying to service WA.
Wait, is a senator the whole state?
Yep.
Oh.
Senators represent a state, not a local constituency, Kelsey.
Wait, so are there only like 6 senators then? Wait, how many states do we have?
You've got 12 senators per state, except for the
well, there's 12 of them, so divide that by 12.
But they don't all belong to the one party. And you've
still.
got 2 for the territories. It's an interesting thing. So you've got New South Wales and Victoria. New South Wales is the most populous state with their 12 senators.
Is Northern Territory classed as a state?
No, it's a territory.
Wait, do they get senators?
Say that again. Is the Northern Territory classed as a state?
No, but I mean, I said classed as a state, as in do they get senators as well?
Yeah, they get 2.
Oh, so they are they
get 2.
They're treated as if they were a state then.
But they only get 2.
Oh,
but you've got the most populous state, New South Wales, with 12 senators. You've got a state with a population of only 500,000 people, Tasmania.
Oh yeah,
they get 12 as well.
Wait, why are you giving me that look?
I'm just saying, should it be proportionate to the population?
Surely.
I'm just saying, it's in our constitution. You can't change the constitution without a referendum. I've told you this.
I know, but maybe there needs to be equal numbers ignoring Northern Territory for like voting purposes or something. I don't know.
It's a state. And anyway, so there you are. And one of the Northern Territory senators, as you know, is Jacinta Price.
Oh.
Who was a national. Now she's a Lib.
Yeah. Now, Luke, China is poised to resume jet fuel and diesel exports after Penny Wong's meeting. So the Chinese government is working with Australian businesses on jet fuel supplies. Foreign Minister Penny Wong has confirmed Beijing stopped supplying Australia with jet fuel and diesel when the Iran war broke out. Senator Wong says it's only the first step to secure more fuel supplies for Australia. So I guess the meeting went well.
Meeting went very, very well. I've been critical of Penny Wong, but some things she's done very, very well. The way she sorted out the Solomon Islands and the South Pacific Island relationships with Australia was absolutely brilliant because previous governments had completely ignored them, taken them for granted. They're there, they need us, And then when China got very involved and interested in Taiwan, people went, oh, hang on, these islands, China would love these islands as naval bases. We better start paying attention to our neighbours in the Pacific, and Penny Wong fixed it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
And this is what pisses Donald Trump off about Australia.
Penny Wong?
Australia's relationship with China.
Oh, yes, of course.
Okay. China is our largest, our biggest trading partner. Our biggest ally is the United States. And, we need China at the moment to trade and to buy our coal and our iron ore. And by the way, we sell them a shitload of uranium.
Yeah.
And Donald Trump is obsessed with Iran's nuclear program. China has nuclear weapons. We sell China uranium, but apparently only for medical purposes, X-rays and things like that. You want to tell me that China's going to tell us how they use our uranium? North Korea has nuclear capabilities. Russia's bombing the shit out of Ukraine, and Russia has nuclear capabilities. And Donald Trump said 12 months ago, Iran's nuclear capabilities have been wiped out. Well, what's going on there?
Yeah. Something...
It's about oil.
Speaking of, our natural resources, this is something that we haven't really spoken about much on the podcast, but it's just tweaked my brain and gone, oh, yeah. At the moment, there's a Senate inquiry investigating the taxation of gas resources, focusing on implementing a potential 25% tax on exports to raise revenue. Now, I've been watching some clips from this inquiry. Some of them are pretty damning. Something that I found very interesting, Luke. So you know how, and I think it was one of the Greens representatives that kind of made this point. You know, if you were a baker, right, you have to buy your flour to make the bread.
Yeah.
Right? Any business, you have to buy the supplies to make the thing that you're selling. Oil companies do not pay for the electricity, gas companies, they do not pay for the oil and gas that they use to make oil and gas which they then export. They get it for free. Which seems like a massive oversight. Don't you think?
It's a funny old world we live in, Kelsey.
But we the people, we own the natural resources of this country, and these massive oil companies coming in, it's like getting the flour for free and then selling the bread. You know?
It's been going on for a long time.
Surely that needs to be taxed.
And you want to know something else? We have a shitload of natural gas that we export. We buy it back from the people we sell it to at a retail price.
It baffles me. I'm glad that this inquiry is going on. Something needs to change. Like, something needs to change. I think the Australian public is being absolutely ripped off when it comes to oil and gas companies.
I think so too, Kelsey. We need to look at it.
Hey, we're in agreement.
Put it down to that David Littleproud next time we talk.
Before we move on to the topic that I would want to talk about quickly, it's just funny. There is a desperate search for a missing 5-year-old little girl in Alice Springs.
How is this funny?
No, I'm saying before we move on to the next one.
All right, this is not funny.
This is not funny. It's very serious. The Northern Territory Police suspect a recently released prisoner, 47-year-old Jefferson Lewis, abducted the 5-year-old from a house in the Old Timers Town camp on the outskirts of Alice Spring late on Saturday night. So this is going into its 5th day. The police believe that somebody in the community absolutely knows where Mr. Lewis is, and they've urged anyone with information to come forward. But this beautiful little 5-year-old girl...
The news this morning is they found her underwear.
Out in
the scrub.
That makes me absolutely sick.
So it's pretty serious.
That is absolutely sick. If anyone, I don't know if anyone in the Northern Territory listens to this, but if you do have information, come forward and hug your little ones this afternoon.
Let's get on to something a bit lighter then.
Yes.
Before we get on to feedback.
Yes. So I don't know if you saw this in the news, but there was the London Marathon this week.
Yeah.
And the 2-hour barrier, right? No one's been able to do the London Marathon under 2 hours. That was, beaten. Or one, I don't know. Sebastian Saw, he smashed that 2-hour barrier at the London Marathon, and lots of people are saying that it comes down to the shoes that he was wearing. Now, these shoes are, they literally look like they've got, they remind me of the trampolines. You know the trampoline shoes that they used to sell in the 90s?
Yeah.
You mean moon shoes.
Yeah.
They look like that.
Yeah.
I would think that the London Marathon, you know how the Olympics, it's regulated what they put on their shoe, like what they wear, because shoes do
heavily regulated.
Give you these shoes are the Adidas Pro Evo 3. They come in at £450. So how much is that?
Double it.
$900.
Yeah.
Jeez, but it immediately made me think of Flubber, the movie.
Oh,
do you remember that? Where they put the little green dots in the bottom of the shoes and they
Robin Williams, was that?
In the basketball.
Was that Robin Williams?
It was Robin Williams.
Yeah.
I loved Flubber as a movie, but immediately it reminded me of Flubber when I saw this. It also made me think back in the day when you guys used to wear Converse wearing basketball.
Yeah.
And no one would wear Converse playing basketball now because they're terrible shoes to play sport in.
Well, I've got a story for you. Are you finished?
Yep.
Adidas is one of the main reasons why the best basketball boot in the world still to this day is Nike. Michael Jordan is playing...
I think you've said this before, but anyway, keep going for the people that haven't heard it. No, you can go.
You've just completely deflated me.
Oh, no, you can go.
Okay. Michael Jordan, while he was in college and was a shining star, there were 2 top brands of sneakers that every basketballer wore and wanted a contract with. One was Adidas, one was Converse.
Which is crazy because Converse are not good shoes to play sport in.
So everyone wanted Adidas. Now, the beginning of Adidas is fascinating. Started at the brand has been around for a long time, but I think it was the 1954 World Cup where Germany won, and they wore the Adidas shoes. Now, the reason they have the 3 stripes is not just a random decoration. It's for strength on the side of your foot. It was a extra leather strap.
Oh, yeah.
That gave you sideways support. And the German team wore Adidas and they were huge.
Yeah.
Right? And so Michael Jordan desperately wanted a sponsorship deal with Adidas. They were the shoe. Converse were two. This business, this shoe factory.
Sorry, if you can hear the dogs barking in the background.
We've got two dogs here.
We've got two dogs here and we need to keep them separate. One's a bulldog, so cute. He's like a land hippo, but he doesn't like other dogs. So we need to keep them separate.
And this one down here knows it's down there.
Oh, yeah.
Wants to meet it. The other one, she really doesn't want to meet
it. No.
It won't be good.
Hey, Riley.
So Michael Jordan, absolutely desperate to get an Adidas shoe contract, and every other major NBA player, like Magic Johnson, actually before Magic Johnson, Dr. Julius Erving, and Bill Russell, and Kareem, Wilt Chamberlain. It was either Adidas or Converse. And so he had a meeting with Adidas and it looked like a moderate deal was going to go ahead, but Nike approached him and it was through his mother and father. They needed a miracle. And so they convinced Michael to go to Nike, but the deal was he got part ownership of the brand. So it wasn't just a fee, it was residuals and ownership of the whole brand. Well, did they back the right horse?
Yeah.
And so the Michael Jordan, the Air Jordans, which were black and red, the Chicago Bulls black and red, but you had to wear white sneakers back in the day. He wore the red with the black trim and the Nike swoosh, and he got fined. And I think it was a lot of money, 10 grand a game, if you didn't wear the approved sneakers.
Shoes, yeah.
And Nike said, we'll pay it for you.
Yeah.
And
that's good.
And so that drew even more attention to the shoe.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, it's the biggest selling shoe in the history of basketball boots, remains there, I think, still today.
Yeah.
And it made Michael Jordan wealthy beyond anyone's imagination.
Yeah, good move.
Because he signed on as a part owner and he has equity in Nike. I just think that's an amazing story, but it was Adidas that pushed it.
Yeah. Oh.
See what I mean? Do you see where I was going?
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. All right, Luke, let's get into some listener mail.
Okay. Okay, you've got something from Nathan.
Yes, and they left this comment on Spotify. So if you do listen on Spotify, feel free to leave a comment. I will read them at some point. Yeah, we'll talk about it. But anyway, Nathan says, "Hi guys, it's Nathan here. We run freight from the Riverina right up to the Sunshine Coast. It's nearly 14,000 kilometres. We deliver orange juice and fresh chicken from our factories." What's a factory?
Sure, that's a misprint and factory.
Oh, it could be. Down here in the Riverina, that's how much this country relies on trucks carrying freight across this land. 14,000 kilometres is a crazy distance.
It is. It's a reminder that the whole country stops without trucks, and I've had to think about it.
Oh, God.
I think it is a fattery. It's where chickens go to get fat for market.
Oh, it makes sense.
No, I think it is a fattery.
Okay. I believe it.
Yeah.
I believe it.
I think it is a fattery.
Well, I'm sure we'll hear from the people if we've got it wrong.
I got a phone call once on Triple M from an incredible woman, and I wish I kept her number. She rang a couple of times. She was a chicken sexer.
What?
Well, when the chicks are born, they don't need the males because males don't lay eggs.
Oh, yeah.
And they don't want fertilised eggs. So she had to get rid of the males. And and she could tell, and I forget how she did it. I don't know if it was peeking between their legs or had something to their beaks. But she earned really good money.
Wait a second.
And she was a professional chicken sexer.
Wait a second.
This is not a G-up.
No, wait a second.
Yeah.
Female chickens and the male ones roosters?
Yes.
Right, okay. Yeah. So, but you can't tell if it's a chicken or a rooster when they hatch?
No, you got to wait a little while.
Right.
I don't know for how long.
Okay, guy, I'm sure somebody listening to this right now has more information.
But if the male chickens are roosters, the female chickens, is she a chicken or a hen?
I don't know. We need to.
This is Seinfeld.
I know. Anyone that's got some chicken knowledge.
I'm putting out a call. I want a professional chicken sexer.
Okay.
To contact us, and what's the job?
So what is their job? Just going around looking in between the legs of chickens, or like chicks?
I guess you could call it cock spotting. They look for. They're trying to pick out the cocks.
Yeah, I get it. I got it the first time, Luke. Yeah.
No, I'm serious.
It's good. This is good.
Hey, Luke and Kelsey, it's Dean. Talking about Grace Brothers and David Jones, I remember when I was a kid living out southwest Sydney, would have been, I'm going back nearly 40 years ago, we'd get the train I'd go into the dental hospital, and then it'd be a big day out because then we'd meet my grandmother in town and we'd go to Grace Brothers and walk into David Jones, and Mum would be doing the window shopping through the area, and we'd end up having lunch in David Jones, the old food court thing they used to have in there. Anyway.
Good on you. That is, yeah, and that's exactly right, Kelsey. It's something, sadly, your generation has missed out on. David Jones and the Woman in Black movie, which I'd love you to see, it was about class. It was about style. It was elegance. It was a day out. It was something special.
Yeah.
And every staff member knew their section like the back of their hand, and they would help you.
Yeah.
And they had advice, and they cared. And if you were in the men's suit department, you would be jumped on by men who knew what they were doing with tape measures around their necks, and the service was impeccable. Now, I got a feeling maybe back in the day, they also got a commission on what they sold. But David Jones, especially in the city, it was a day out. It was an adventure. It was an outing.
Yeah.
It was a retail experience.
A retail experience. Yeah, they don't do that anymore. Now, I think what Scotty was saying, that now it's you go to the mall and you have that experience.
Yeah, but the one at our mall,
yeah, that's a great place to do it.
David Jones is shit.
Oh, yeah, David Jones.
They don't care.
The only good David Jones is in the CBD.
It's nothing like it used to be.
But it's still the best David Jones. But you know what else? Some of the Myers are pretty. The Myer in the CBD is so run down. It like reminds me of going to like an abandoned wing of a hospital.
Yeah, well, we talked about that with Scotty Phillips. Myer was Grace Brothers.
Yeah.
And then they were bought by Woolworths, but not the Woolworths, the Woolworths in South Africa.
Yeah.
And they could, maybe those days of grandeur, maybe those great days of retail are gone.
Yeah, probably.
And the suburban mall and the internet shopping has had a lot to do with it too, I think.
100%. Now, Kylie said on Spotify, my parents got a reverse mortgage on the last house they built, borrowed about 70 grand. Dad passed in 2018, mum in 2021. We had to sell the house because of the reverse mortgage. We had to pay St. George $240,000. Don't do it if you love your kids. That's from Kylie.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. If you want to hand your kids the biggest inheritance possible, you don't get a reverse mortgage. But if you are asset rich and cash poor, some people don't have a lot of choice. There are plenty of people who offer this, and there's one run by the government, which is a better one. The interest rates are much, much lower. And you've got to shop around. But if you need cash and you're sitting on a big asset, it's a really tempting thing to do.
Oh, 100% it would be, but
yeah,
it kind of freaks me out. Now, Luke, we recently posted a video from a little clip from your chat with Ben Fordham, and it has really divided opinion. So
what's happened? It was a friendly chat.
Let's just listen to this clip.
It's like, dude, you're just sounding creepy.
Yeah.
You know, you wouldn't walk up to a girl in the office and start talking about sex in 2026.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
well, my kids have
arguably,
outgrown it.
Yeah, you kind of get to a point of going, oh, mate, that makes other people feel unsettled.
Yeah.
And when you're doing it on a radio show every day and you just want to talk about sex positions and sex stuff and whatever, it's like, mate, you're not 18 anymore.
Yeah. Jerry Springer only lasted so long, and then people got sick of that act.
Yeah, but even then...
You're going to have more strings.
He was the ringmaster, though. Jerry was the one who was the ringmaster, and all the other freaks were coming on telling their stories, where with Kyle, he was the freak.
Now, Luke, this is what some of the people had to say. William said, I found it funny, but I can also see how it comes off creepy. His tone of voice would change as well to creepy. Interesting. Kyle said, was never really a fan of Kyle, but there is a John Laws, Alan Jones, Ray Hadley sized hole in the market that he might fill given a few changes to suit a different audience. And Ray said, he will be your 9 a.m. jock within the next 6 months, so speak nice. What do you think?
I don't know how many strings to Kyle's bow there are. We've only seen one for 25 years, and you know, he's a very nice bloke when you meet him. I couldn't listen to him. It just wasn't my go.
Yeah.
And I like fun. I like a bit of debauchery. I like being a bit naughty.
We're aware.
Oh, Doug Mulray.
Yeah.
Doug Mulray. But Doug Mulray was not Kyle. Other way around. Look, people won't like what Ben had to say if they're fans of Kyle, and Ben is not going for Kyle's audience.
No.
They're two completely different audiences, the
Yeah.
KISS audience and the 2GB audience. So, anyway.
All right. We got this voicemail from Tony.
G'day, Luke and Kelsey. It's Tony from Inglewood again. The call line's been blocked up. It's clear now, obviously, because
Sorry
I'm
about
getting through. Rob was asking about those roo whistles, whether they work or not.
Churu.
I live in central Victoria, Inglewood, obviously, but there's roos everywhere around here, so I've put them on, and obviously it can't hurt, you know. Anything's better than nothing. But when you buy them, they're not guaranteed that they'll work, and it says on them they won't work under 50 kilometres an hour. And you got to keep checking them and make sure they're not blocked up with bugs and that sort of thing.
There you go.
Well, the Churu, and that's a brand name, but there are other products that do the same thing. And you drive along, the air goes through them, they emit a tone that's supposed to scare. I mean, you know, it's like those shark transmitter things that they keep coming up with.
Well, it's like the dog things as well. They emit a high frequency sound.
Yeah.
You know, I read that they actually do that I think it's like in some places in Europe. They install around like places where people would loiter, like outside service stations and like community centres. They put that high-pitched sound because only young kids can hear it. Older people can't hear it. And so to deter young people from loitering, they have these speakers placed outside that emit.
Really?
I read that somewhere. Don't quote me on it. I didn't have time to look it up. But
I'll tell you something that they did do, and I want you, while you're there, just Google this. I forget where it was, but there was a railway station that was always being vandalised, and so through the loudspeakers they played Barry Manilow to deter young people from loitering at this railway station. Can you find that story?
Likely refers to a 2006 incident where loudspeakers were installed at a railway station and car park in a suburb of Sydney, Australia, to deter loitering by playing Barry Manilow music at full volume. Morterdale Railway Station car park area in Sydney. Well, who's Barry Manilow? I know the name.
Guess what he does?
He sings.
He writes the songs that makes the young girls.
It's not stirring anything in
Barry
me.
Manilow.
Give me, what's his most
He writes
classic?
the songs at the Copacabana.
Okay, that guy. Yeah, okay, nice. Now, look, we got this comment from Tyler on YouTube. He said, let's get one thing straight. The people who booed at the Anzac Day dawn service weren't booing at Indigenous Australians, so comparing them to Nazi extremists is a load of bullshit. Did we compare them to Nazi extremists?
No, we didn't. The young bloke that was booing, that was arrested for creating a disturbance, was seen at a neo-Nazi rally at another protest at one point.
Oh.
And by the way, when Channel 7 caught up with him, his name, Toby something, he said, they said, what do your parents think of you booing at the Anzac Day dawn service? He said, don't tell them.
Oh,
well, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they found out.
I'm pretty sure they found out. They were booing at Welcome to Country. There are people who think, and I happen to think, that Welcome to Country is overdone, and we've talked about that.
Yeah.
And I think the more you use something, the more undervalued it becomes.
Yeah.
But but if you listen to what the speaker was saying, he was talking about the Indigenous Australians that signed up for World War I, nearly 1,000 of them, nearly 40,000 in World War II, and this is before Indigenous people were on the census or allowed to vote. They certainly weren't going to be called up to serve. And what he was saying was his grandfather was a light horseman. His two brothers were Vietnam vets, all Indigenous people that didn't have to sign up but wanted to fight for this country. And that was the main part of his message. It did happen at the end of the Welcome to Country. I just think it was an inappropriate place to boo. But I understand that Welcome to Country divides a lot of people, and we can have that debate. But I think booing at Anzac Day, War Memorial, Cenotaph Martin Place, at 3:30 in the morning is completely inappropriate.
100%.
But there shouldn't be a law against inappropriate behaviour.
Yeah.
And did all those people who fought in all those conflicts over the years, did they fight for the right to be able to protest and boo? Did they fight in the name of free speech?
Yeah.
Do we want
Well, we
booing?
don't have free speech in this country, though, so probably not.
Okay, but do you have the right to boo?
Time and place.
Okay, but are our new hate laws going to jump on that and say you're inciting violence?
No, I don't know.
You see?
I know. All right, got a voicemail from Josh.
Yeah.
Hey, Lucy and the Bonafide Podcast crew. Yes, there should be a mandatory age for retirement for politicians, and they shouldn't be entitled to their retirement package unless they can prove they've done a good job for Parliament.
Ooh.
I don't think you should be arrested for booing at a public ceremony. You just shouldn't do it. And free speech and total disrespect, well, free speech, you should actually make your point and not be derogatory or disrespectful to anyone trying to make theirs. Thanks, guys.
Hey, that was good. I like that. Fast question answering.
Yeah, it's very good. There is absolutely no compulsory retirement age for federal politicians in Australia. You can stay in the parliament for as long as you keep getting re-elected.
Damn.
Retirement is voluntary. Now, the rorts, the trough snouting has been cut back somewhat over the last few years, and the superannuation benefits have been cut back. The pension the pension amounts have been cut back. But once upon a time, here's something: should a politician, especially if it was part of their portfolio, be able to leave politics, get their pension, and then go work for an organisation that they had influence over when they were a politician? For example, let's say Macquarie Bank.
Didn't ScoMo do that? Didn't he go work for
Well, you should be able to find another job.
Yeah, you should. Yeah.
You should be able to find another job. But anyway.
Yeah, interesting. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, there was a big stink about Bob Carr, who was Premier of New South Wales, and Macquarie Bank got the rights to Sydney Airport, owned Sydney Airport, including all the parking, and Bob Carr retired and went and worked and got on the board of Macquarie Bank.
There you go. There you go. Now, just a quick one, Luke. I saw this photo. It was posted by Truck Spotting Ararat, who Rod has spoken about on the podcast before. And I thought this was the coolest thing I have ever seen. I'm hyping this up. And I was going to wait till the next Truckee Tuesday to talk about this with Rod, but I couldn't stop myself. Luke, isn't this the coolest thing you've ever seen? There is a dog hanging out of, I don't even know what is that section underneath the truck?
It looks like boxes.
It looks like boxes.
There's three boxes underneath the truck. Maybe they're there because of the dog. Maybe they're dog boxes.
Maybe. I have never seen this before.
They look like chicken coops or letter boxes.
Yeah. And it is so freaking cool. It looks like they're carting. Oh, it looks. What do they call it when they're doing livestock?
Turd herder. Beautiful truck.
And this, Kelpie probably?
Yeah.
Head hanging out the side, wind in its hair. It is awesome. I love this photo. I think it's so cool. So I just had to show it. I couldn't wait till Truckee Tuesday.
Can you send that to Rod Hannafy and ask him what those boxes are? Are they put there especially for dogs?
Yeah. Maybe. Makes sense. Now, last thing, Luke. We got a comment from Vanessa on Spotify, and she said, would love for you guys to add an astrology section.
No, Jackie O, no. You saw what it did to their relationship. We are not doing that. Thank you very much.
No, we're doing it at least one time.
Answer is no.
No, at least one time, Luke. I'm going to do your horoscope right now. When were you born?
No, I'm not.
Luke,
it's
come on.
10th of May, 1962.
10th May, 1962. Do you know what time?
No. Mum told me once, I forgot.
We'll just say 8 a.m. Where were you born? Dubbo.
Crown Street Women's Hospital.
Where's that, Sydney? Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it is.
Sydney. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Okay. Luke, your transit moon in the 5th house. Joy, romance, and creative spark light up your emotional world. Are you listening?
Yeah.
It doesn't look like you're listening.
I'm listening.
Today invites you to play, create, and open your heart. Let yourself express what brings you delight through art, music, flirting, or a heartfelt post. Just be mindful not to take things too personally. You're shining bright, and that can make you feel a bit exposed. Practical tip: do something that makes you feel proud or playful. Creative writing, painting, dancing, or simply laughing with a loved one are perfect outlets.
Have you got a calculator there?
No.
Just Google this. The world's population is about 8.3 billion people. I want you to go, what's 8.3 billion divided by 12? Just do it for me. 8.3 billion.
Oh,
8.3 billion divided by 12. What's the figure?
I don't know how to read this number. 691666666.667. I don't know how to read that number. I'm being deadly serious.
8.3 billion divided by 12 is that number. That means that many people, Kelsey, have the same horoscope.
Yeah.
What a load of shit.
I think I like it. I really want to get into my birth chart and stuff like Mum doesn't know when she gave birth to me though, so that might be a hurdle. But I think it's interesting. I want to get my chakras aligned and whatnot. I reckon we should do an astrology section.
My father believed in it.
Exactly. There you go.
My father believed in it.
I reckon we should do an astrology section.
You saw what astrology did to Jackie O and Kyle.
Get off it.
You saw what it did.
Let's let the people vote.
It ruined a career, $200 million contract and a friendship.
Let's let the people vote whether or not we should include
astrology. I'm willing to lose the friendship, but not the $200 million.
Yeah. Now, Luke, who do we have coming up on this episode?
James Glissan, who is a fantastic lawyer, used to be a police officer. While he was in uniform, he studied law, passed the bar, became a DPP prosecutor. Now he's a defence lawyer. He explains the law so well.
Oh, yeah.
He's coming up and he's going to explain the Ben Robert Smith court case because there's so much confusion around it and everyone has an opinion on whether he's guilty or whether he's innocent. We're not going to go down that path. We're going to talk about the law.
Oh, yeah.
So you can understand what's down the track.
Yes, and also the Man Cave. And who's joining us in the Man Cave?
We have Mark Beretta, who you've seen for hundreds of years on Channel 7 Sunrise, a sport expert. He's a great bloke. His Tour de Cure has raised so much money for cancer research, and we're going to have a bit of fun with him and the Vice Captain and yourself. All that and a whole lot more. Please leave your feedback. You might get yourself some merch, and we'll talk soon.
Yes, and if you hear Luke's computer has been giving us absolute grief. So if you hear some weird little clicky glitches, we're working on it. It is giving me the biggest headache in the world, but we are aware and we are fixing it. But just stick with us because it's great content.
Ben Robert Smith is Australia's most decorated living soldier, and he's currently facing serious criminal charges for alleged war crimes committed during his service in Afghanistan. Now, on April 7, 2026, we all saw Ben Robert Smith arrested by the Australian Federal Police at Sydney Airport, returning from Brisbane, and he was charged with 5 counts of the war crime of murder stemming from alleged incidents between 2009 and 2012. Now, it's extremely high profile. As I say, he's Australia's most decorated living soldier. But in 2018, he sued 9 newspapers for defamation over reports that allegedly he was involved in unlawful killings. In 2023, the Federal Court Justice Anthony Basanko dismissed the case, ruling that the newspapers had established the, quote, substantial truth of the allegations, including that Robert Smith was involved in the murder of 4 unarmed Afghan men. Now, subsequent appeals to the full court of the Federal Court and the High Court of Australia were dismissed or refused, which really exhausted his legal avenues to overturn the civil ruling. I'll stress, it was a civil ruling. We'll get to that in a minute. After initially being held at Silverwater Prison, Robert Smith was granted bail on strict conditions on April 17, 2026. He has yet to enter pleas, but has consistently denied all wrongdoing. So where does this take us? Now, James Glissan is somebody I've got to know pretty well over the last few weeks from Glissan and Associates Lawyers. And I discovered James, as you'll have heard in our previous podcast. James is a lawyer who was once a police officer, then a public prosecutor. Now he's a defence lawyer. And one of the things I love about James is he tells it how it is. He doesn't enter into or offer a political leaning or an opinion or even an opinion on how a court case might go. What James does brilliantly, absolutely brilliantly, is just explain the law in common language so that even a dumbass like me can understand it. And he joins me again. Always good to talk to you, my friend. Good to see your face. How are you?
Yeah, good, mate. Good. Thank you for that amazing introduction. I'm going to push back on the dumbass aspect after I've gotten to know you a bit better, but always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, mate, when it comes to intellectual property, you lap me. Don't you worry about that. But I am fully aware of our sub judice laws, libel and defamation laws, and I've been in the radio game for a while, so I get that. But look, this is not a civil case. This is now a serious criminal case. And I've never heard so many people who are experts in all of this, but they forget one thing. What is the law? What allegedly happened in Afghanistan, a lot of people would argue it's a grey line between what goes on in the heat of battle and what the law actually is. It's what the law actually is that is on trial now. Forget your opinions. This is how this case is going to be, and it will probably be a jury trial. I have a question, and I'll get to that. How the hell do they find an untainted jury when so much publicity has been put out there? How do you pick a jury? And and this is opinion, I doubt very much the prosecution would allow anyone with a military background to be on that jury, and we'll talk about how you go about selecting a jury, because that's fascinating. But remember this, it's beyond reasonable doubt. I'll stress that, beyond reasonable doubt. That's what the prosecution has to argue. And something that everyone's forgotten, and that is you are presumed, or you're supposed to enjoy presumption of innocence until proven guilty. Now, James, when the DPP very publicly arrested Ben Robert Smith on that flight back from Brisbane at Sydney in front of his family, they sent out press releases to the media, alerting the media that that was going to happen, with a press release explaining why. My guess is, and I've seen this happen over the years, I say that the prosecution wanted to take control of the narrative. It's now up to Ben Robert Smith's defence to prove him innocent, but he should be already assumed innocent. So it's very, very tricky. It's very emotional. The shit that I see on social media from experts is unbelievable. People wanting to sign petitions and do all that. Petition submission. This is a criminal case where it's only the law that can be argued. How am I going?
Bang on so far. And look, it's a really, really, really important thing to keep in mind for anybody watching this or anybody listening, is what we're dealing with now is a very old process. It's been changes that have been made over the last, 50, 100 years, as is always the case, but largely the same process that we've had for a very long period of time. Now that we've entered this very serious, very formal process, everything has changed. It is nothing like the initial trial, which, again, similar allegations, very different standard of proof, which I'm sure we're going to get into. But the most important aspect, and we'll get to the jury aspect because that's the big one at the moment, is bringing an impartial mind, even as an observer, and being really, really careful. If you're somebody, because I've seen this again and again and again, and I've got people who watch my channel on YouTube and they send me clips of people doing this, and I would really, really, really caution against it. And I'm sure you would too. You've been in the media game a lot longer than me. But you have to be so careful if you're putting something out there to the public, if you are publishing an opinion, if it's on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, anything, that you couldn't be seen as trying to persuade or bias a jury in relation to an active case, especially those who have prior military experience.
Well, I'm
really
seeing
dangerous.
so much on Facebook and YouTube already from legal experts voicing their opinions, and don't they understand they could compromise this trial?
Probably not. The other thing they probably don't understand is the consequence that could come to them personally.
Contempt of court.
If they did, they wouldn't do it.
I was talking to a journalist student who's at UTS the other day, and she's 21. And I said, tell me, what's worse, libel, defamation, or contempt of court? And she said, oh, defamation? I said, you're kidding. I said, what are your lecturers teaching you? I said, contempt of court is a criminal offence and you can go to jail. Ask Darren Hinch. And she's at uni studying journalism.
And they're not separate. You know, it's not like if you get one, you don't get the other. You can get defamation because that's a civil suit from whoever's been aggrieved, right? And then you can also get contempt of court. So it's not like if you get one, you don't get the other. It can be a really, really dangerous knife's edge to walk along.
Let's talk about this. Let's start at the beginning.
Sure.
The accusations, the criminal charges, very, very serious.
Mm-hmm.
How do they differ from him defending a defamation case?
Well, for argument's sake, let's say that the alleged facts, the things that are trying to be proven, are the same. Right? We'll keep it as simple as we possibly can.
Yes.
The big difference is this. When you're looking at the civil case, the defamation case, you have a different standard of proof, which is balance of probabilities, which is that the allegations are more likely true than not, right? There's nuance to that, but that's the basic nuts and bolts of it. The criminal case is not like that at all. It's not the court picking a version by any stretch. It's a jury of 12 people, assuming this is a jury trial, which I can only imagine it would be, that have to establish that there are no reasonable doubts in their mind that every aspect of the allegation occurred. So it's wildly different in terms of proof.
And does it have to be a unanimous decision?
Yes.
If it's not, if it's 11-1, what happens then?
Well, you can get what's called a hung jury. So if not everybody agrees, there are some who agree, some that don't agree that it happened. You can end up with a hung jury, and that can result in one of two things. It can either result in a retrial in some circumstances, so the whole process starts again, or it can result in an acquittal. Now, something that's become more and more common with jury trials, which is something that I think is a real risk here, is juries are given very specific directions as to what they can do, what they can't do, what they can look at, what they can't look at. The real basic line, the basic rule, is that they can only look at what's given to them through the court, right? Because the judge acts as a filter as to what evidence can get into the jury's mind.
Okay, now, Bruce Lerman, we saw a jury dismissed because one of the jurors, I think it was a sheriff's officer or someone connected with the sheriff's office, goes into the jury room and sees newspaper articles on the case in front of one of the jurors' seats.
Yeah.
God, it's another topic. If you're a jury and you have been instructed completely and you break those rules, should that be a criminal offence? I mean, to dismiss a case, which is a hell of a costly thing, because a jury has broken the rules, maybe that needs to be taken more seriously. I digress. I'm sorry.
No, it's not a digression. It's exactly what I was just going to speak about. So you're reading my mind. So there was a case I was involved in a number of years ago, a very serious allegation where somebody had died, and it was a long trial. It was comparatively, it was 3 or 4 weeks, huge amount of expense. And you've got to remember that people who are brought before the court for criminal charges, not as criminals yet until they're convicted, but for criminal charges, a lot of the time they have to foot this themselves, and they've been brought into it. Now, I won't get into the costs aspect because that becomes really complicated and it'll dilute what we're trying to establish here today. But when a juror, as in this case, brings material in or conducts their own experiments, not only does the entire thing, even if it's the very end, have to be sent back with a new jury and reheard again at additional expense, but in that case, the juror was charged. So it is absolutely possible for a juror to be charged, and it's becoming more common because the issue is coming up more frequently.
Yeah. That is, thank you for that. I was interested in that. The other thing is a tainted jury. Find somebody in this country that hasn't heard about this, read about it, and offered opinions at barbecues, dinner parties, and water coolers about this. You're going to struggle to find a jury. And the other thing is, it's become extra high profile because, and this is only my opinion.
Yes,
it's become a media political battle between Channel 9 and Channel 7 because Ben Roberts-Smith was employed by Channel 7 and his defence and his subsequent appeals were bankrolled mostly by Kerry Stokes, and the figure I've heard is $30 million.
I've heard that figure too.
Yeah, somewhere around $30 million, and Kerry Stokes, the then owner of Channel 7, was supporting him financially. And then... the night after his arrest, Channel 9 replayed the 60-Minute show with Nick McKenzie hosting. After his...
Yeah, look...
Are you with me?
I am. Look, there are other issues as well, right? So when we're talking about potential bias with a jury, one of the big ones is, and this is something that really bugs me because there needs to be a lot more honesty in the way things are being reported. When you look at the bail application... Okay, so there was no bail made or no application made on the first occasion. Bail was made or applied for and made on the second application. Now, you have to know what's going through. And I've been on this from both sides, from defending bail applications to being the prosecutor and asking the court to revoke or refuse bail. You're not dealing with proof at that point. You're only dealing with allegations, okay?
Yep.
And the allegations that you're dealing with are usually those that are contained in the fact sheet.
Yeah.
So you're not even using the basis from which the allegations come from. Now, the problem is that's not an issue in court because every lawyer and every judge knows that. They're aware of the fact that there is no proof that's being dealt with. We're just talking about risk, okay? Risk as to whether or not they leave. But the way it was reported on, when the prosecutor was doing their job and they were saying that bail should be refused and they gave their reasons for it, they gave their argument for it, and that's their job, what happens, and this is where we're starting to run into a real issue with the media involvement, the media then reports on the basis the prosecutor gives for refusing bail as
because they own the narrative at this point.
As fact, and it's not fact, it's an allegation. So the real issue is that people are only hearing this from where it's being reported from. And when it's being reported as fact, that's a major issue because, again, you're starting to dive into whether or not the jury is being influenced before it's even impaneled.
Yes. I've been selected for jury duty. This was in Bathurst. And they read out my name. They said, dismissed. It could happen to any citizen. So what's involved in the selection of a jury? Take me through that.
Okay, so let's break it down into roughly 5 steps. I'm going to try and keep it at 5. So you've random selection first. So that's where names are drawn out of the electoral roll.
From the electoral roll.
That's right. So, and you receive a jury summons if you're chosen, but you have no idea what it's for. You just know that you have to turn up because you've been summoned. Right? Then you get to step 2, which is the attendance at court aspect. So that's where you go to the court and you're part of the jury pool. Now, you can be excused because of hardship, health, sometimes work, but rarely. And there are times when you're ineligible. So that's things like serious criminal history, or for me, for example, because I'm a lawyer, I'm ineligible. I'm not allowed to sit on the jury. I know too much about how the sausage is made. And I would imagine that was something that probably played a part with you being ineligible too, being in the media and being.
I was eligible. I was rejected.
Oh, you were rejected?
No, I wasn't. I was eligible. I got called up. I turned up at the court. I got $20. Cash back then, and but I was rejected. I was called up. But the funny thing is, when I collected my $20, another bloke who was also called up and got his $20 was our local member for Bathurst, Mick Clough. And he was a politician and he was called up. We were both rejected. We got our $20 and we went to the Stagecoach restaurant and had lunch on the taxpayer.
It's a good day.
But I'm just telling you the story. Mick Clough, our local member at the time, was called up as well.
Yeah, it's incredible how it happens, but it shows that it really just comes from the role, right? The electoral role.
Yeah.
So you get called up And then this is where the empanelment comes. So this is where the choosing the jury happens. And this is the moment where you walk into the jury box and either the defense or the prosecution can object. Now, bear in mind, they only have two. They only have two vetoes, as it were. It's not like the US system at all. And they don't get to ask you a huge amount of questions. In fact,
okay. Would one of the first questions be, have you ever served for the military?
I don't think that would be something that would be able to excuse somebody. And the reason I say that is...
But you'd ask the question, wouldn't you?
You could, in theory, but
right.
I don't know if the court would even necessarily allow you to go down that path, because
right.
in the US, right, which is where almost everybody, myself included, until I went through the law degree and figured out how it all worked myself, gets it from the US. Because that's where most of our entertainment comes from, or at least it used to be.
Oh, we still have people who ring 911 in an emergency.
We do. And, also, what's the UK one, 999, I think? It all gets rerouted to the same system. But the interesting part when we're looking at the US system is it is, on the face of it, a lot more fun to practice in, because it's a lot more engaging and dramatic. I don't know if that makes it fairer, but it does make it more engaging. But you're allowed to really ask a lot of questions. And in the US, there are entire businesses set to backgrounding jurors to make sure that either the biases work in your favor, which I don't think is particularly fair, or that they at least don't work against you. But here, we don't have that. We just don't. It's a lot more random. And the reason I bring this up is if you were to start excluding people on the basis of prior military experience, A, I don't think that's even allowed, but B, I don't think it's even an advantage, because you don't know if that's going to work in your favor or against you.
Okay, so it can take a long time. So
it can.
They whittle down maybe 30 people or 40 people to 12.
Yeah.
And then what instructions then is the jury given?
They'll really, well, it depends on one factor. If there's a risk of bias, if there's a risk that they couldn't be impartial for any particular reason, they will be asked questions, often by the court, in relation to whether or not that's going to be a problem. But you've got to remember that, we talk about 30 down to 12. The reality is that at most, you're looking at 16 down to 12.
Okay,
right?
all right.
Because each side only gets two.
I see, yeah.
But, leaving that aside, once they're impaneled, the instructions that they get are relatively clear. It's don't look this up. Don't look at media reports, or if you do, make sure it doesn't affect your judgment. Good luck with that.
Good luck with that.
Yeah. And basically, you are only to take into account what we say you can take into account, right? Because that's the role of the judge.
I mean, you open your computer and you're bombarded with opinions on it, and you can't watch the telly without it being on the news. And you probably aren't allowed to discuss it with your spouse or your partner.
No, absolutely
not. How the hell do they police that? And after a grueling day, when you've got someone's life in your hands, how do you not come home and say to your wife or your husband or whoever, wow, I am so upset about this. I don't know what to do. And you want to talk to someone about it.
Look, honestly, it is a huge responsibility. I know a lot of people, because we're Australian, we like to make fun of everything. But my experience and the experience of people who have been in this game for 50 years, right, is that jurors take it really seriously. Really seriously. And in cases like this, I know we spoke before about what happens if it's 1 versus 11 in the jury. Sometimes you can get a majority verdict if it's been long enough and it's still 11-1. But in cases like this, where each of the offences carry life and it's about murder, like the most serious of subject matters, it has to be a majority. It has to be a majority. So that's why people prefer the system of 12, because you have 12 independent minds. Even if they're opposing, you have 12 independent minds that have to come to the same conclusion, which is that in their mind, there is no reasonable doubt that it occurred.
Here's a question that a lot of people are asking. If this was a military crime whilst Ben Robert-Smith was serving as a corporal in the ADF, why isn't this being tried as a military trial? Why is it And I guess the simple answer is he's now a civilian. But these alleged crimes happened while he was serving in the ADF. Can you take us through that, if you'll pardon the expression, that minefield?
I will.
I didn't mean to do.
I love a good pun. So you can get as many in as you can. But what we're talking about here, and this is a really important distinction that people don't know about and have never been taught about, where the case is heard comes down to jurisdiction, okay? Not what kind of offence it is. So when you're looking at the military jurisdiction, it's usually reserved for, even if Ben was still active, still serving, it's usually reserved for disciplinary matters. Right? Not for crimes of this nature. There are some crimes that come under it.
What about Harry Breaker Morant, who was court-martialed and shot?
But that was a while ago, and an awful lot has changed. Almost everything, and that's worth an episode in itself. But what we're talking about here are crimes against the Commonwealth. So that's why it's under the Commonwealth Code, the Criminal Code, which is the Federal Crimes Act. So the victim or the aggrieved person here is not necessarily, and I know this is going to sound ridiculous, not necessarily the person who has been allegedly shot or allegedly killed. It is a crime against the Commonwealth. So the Commonwealth has the jurisdiction to bring the charge, and the Commonwealth has the jurisdiction to hear the trial. So that's why it's not in the military jurisdiction. Now, one of the really big points of confusion I'd like to very quickly clear up, if I may.
Please do.
Is this, because I've seen this a lot. And I've seen this on Carl Stefanovic, because he's been all over this lately. And I think it's really, 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 you have to be so careful, especially when you have a big audience like that, to make sure that you are trying your absolute level best to run it right down the middle. And I'm not saying he's not doing that, but I've been reading through the comments and there's a lot of division. When you're looking at this from an objective point of view, from a fairness point of view, if this were to go, let's say there's a world in which this changes and it goes into the military jurisdiction, a lot of protections disappear. So the jury trial protection disappear. The impartiality for people who've never been in the military. I know people think that that's a negative. Maybe it is. But it also might be a positive because they're not bringing prior experience or prior knowledge to it. Yeah. And you've got to remember, in circumstances where you're dealing with beyond a reasonable doubt, a lack of prior knowledge is often a good thing for the defendant, because it means not only do the jury have to come to the same conclusion that it happened, but they have to be walked through how they come to that conclusion. If they already know how they can come to that conclusion, there's an argument that it's easier to get to. So while it may seem, from a common sense point of view, to belong in the military jurisdiction, in many ways, it could be better for Ben for this to be in the Commonwealth jurisdiction in which it sits, because he gets more protections and the jury comes with less prior knowledge, which in many ways can be a good thing.
Clearer air.
Much clearer air, you know.
Clearer air. Yeah,
and a big point of distinction is the jury's only role is to find facts, to determine whether or not it happened, not up to them when it comes to sentence at all. So a lot of people are worried that jurors will want a heavier sentence because they haven't been in the military, they're not familiar with the fog of war. This is all assuming that it happened and the jury finds that. But don't worry, it's not up to the jury to determine a penalty. It's up to the judge.
Here's another question
sure.
that I hear a lot. What rules of engagement are our soldiers? What do they have to adhere to? What is the law? So just explain for dumbass me what the Criminal Crimes Act is and what federal laws are our soldiers fighting under. Is it a lot more than just the Geneva Convention of which we subscribe?
I think the easiest way to explain that, and the simplest way to explain it, is the Geneva Convention, or at least the parts of which that we've incorporated and said that we're going to agree to, right? They are the hard limit. So they're the things that are totally out of bounds, absolutely out of bounds. And in this case, it would be allegedly killing non-combatants, right? That's just blanket prohibited. When it comes to rules of engagement, that's more of a tactical decision that has to be made at the operational level. And I have no experience in the ADF whatsoever, but that is something that I'd imagine, based on prior knowledge I have of the US, comes down to decisions made by command in relation to whatever the operation is, as well as what type of outfit you are operating in. So if you're operating in the SASR, for example, I can only imagine that the rules of engagement would be wildly different for a conventional military force, like a big infantry unit. So what we're looking at when we're talking about the Geneva Convention are two different things. One, what we've incorporated into our domestic law as criminal offences that can be tried here. And two, things that the International Criminal Court can prosecute or try to prosecute. But they're usually things you're looking at like mass genocide and things like that. Not often are they individual instances.
Yeah, you can see why to a lay person who's just influenced by influencers, this is so darned grey and ambiguous.
It's incredibly complicated. I mean, without trying to put a gloss on it, it is really hard to get a grip on because you have to deal not only with the Commonwealth Criminal Code, which often doesn't make a huge amount of common sense. You then have to deal with the fact that it has, or rather Australian law has reach into conduct that's committed overseas.
Mm-hmm.
That's something not a lot of people are familiar with. And it doesn't just apply to war crimes, it applies to a whole range of things. You have to have the background knowledge of how treaties are ratified, which basically can be the definition or the difference between a promise that we make as a country, which doesn't hold any actual obligation, or being incorporated into our law, which then does have proper implications and proper application. And that applies again outside of war crimes. It applies to things like human rights. So it's really, really, really complicated. And people shouldn't feel for a moment like, you know, you refer to yourself as a dumbass. People should never feel that way. This is really complicated stuff. And that's why it's so bloody important that when people are reporting on it, and you've been fantastic, there are a few people who've done really, really well by straddling that line. And a lot of it comes, I'm sure, from experience. But when people start splintering off, even just a little bit, there is a real risk that there could be a miscarriage of justice, and they need to take it seriously.
Let me give you a hypothetical.
Absolutely.
Somebody living in Sydney or Melbourne is in Bali and they've committed a murder. They have not been arrested. They think they've got away with it, and they come back to Sydney or to Australia. And then through an investigation, it's found out that Joe Smith, who's now back in Australia, was the person of interest. And has committed a murder in another country 12 years ago. What would happen then?
Depends which country you're from. We're dealing with an Australian?
We're dealing with an Australian. I'm trying to make some sort of an analogy here.
No. I know exactly where you're going. Let me run you through it. Let's say it's an Aussie that killed somebody. Whether or not it's murder is a different story, but there's evidence to suggest they killed somebody in Bali. If we have an extradition treaty with Bali, right? That means that Bali can apply for extradition, and the Australian who's subject to that investigation may be extradited to Bali to face trial, right? The test for extradition is not whether or not, it's not on balance of probabilities. It's not beyond a reasonable doubt that it occurred. It has nothing to do with the actual trial. The test for extradition is whether or not the party applying, so in this case Bali, for the extradition of that person, can meet the standard for an extradition application, which is often that they just have, let's say, what's called a prima facie case, so that there is enough evidence that a conviction is possible, just on the prosecution's evidence, and then they get taken over there to deal with it. If there's no extradition treaty, there's no obligation for Australia to send somebody over there. It doesn't mean that they won't do it. They can still do it.
But that person wouldn't be tried, that Australian wouldn't be tried for murder that was committed in Bali here in Australia.
No.
Why isn't Ben Robert Smith being extradited to Afghanistan and being tried in Afghanistan if it's Afghani nationals that he's allegedly killed?
Yeah, good question.
Do you see where I was going with it?
I do, and we've done a good job of building the ladder to get there, so let's bring it home. So great question. We've got two different scenarios. A murder that occurs in Bali, somebody gets extradited to Bali to face trial. Now we have an alleged murder that has occurred in Afghanistan, and the trial is being held here. And naturally, the question is, why? The reason is that under the Commonwealth Criminal Code, which is the offence, what's called an offence-creating provision, which is where it sets out what the offence actually is, there is an application in the act of what's called extraterritorial jurisdiction, which means that acts that occur outside of this country can be tried here under our law because it's our offence, even though it occurred somewhere else. Now, murder in the Bali sense, or the Bali example, that's an offence that occurred in Bali, so they get extradited to Bali. The thing that everybody is now thinking is, but it's the same thing. Why does it apply differently?
What is extraterritorial jurisdiction then?
Extraterritorial jurisdiction, the simplest I can put it, is that we have an offence here in Australia.
Yes.
That applies to the conduct that you engage in outside of Australia, whether that's Afghanistan, Indonesia, the US, anywhere.
Okay,
and
well,
when you're talking
what about my Australian tourist who's killed someone in Bali, come back to Australia? Why doesn't extraterritorial jurisdiction apply there?
Well, it would. So
have I stumped you?
No. So it's a really fine distinction to draw.
I had to ask.
No. It's a good question. And this is a really interesting point of distinction. And it's something that people aren't explaining. So with the war crime aspect, because that falls under war crimes, and that means it's a Commonwealth offence and the reasoning behind it is, the reason why we have extraterritorial jurisdiction is it's our soldiers who are alleged to have done something. So we will hold it here. Right? The murder in Bali aspect can't be held here. And this is the frustrating part because of the extraterritorial jurisdiction issue. And this shows how perhaps unevenly it's applied. The murder that happens in Bali, let's put it this way, because it wasn't an Australian soldier and because it doesn't fall under the war crimes, that's an offence that happened in Bali. So Bali has jurisdiction of it.
I've got to be honest. If I had a choice between being tried in Australia or being tried in Bali or Afghanistan, I'd rather be tried in Australia. Because I have more faith in our system, and maybe that's ignorance. Maybe I'm just being naive. But I'd rather be tried in Australia than Afghanistan or Bali.
Well, you got to remember the penalties are quite different too.
Oh, yeah.
So we're talking about life with Ben Roberts-Smith, but often, naturally, what Australians think about when they hear criminal offence in Bali is drugs. And they do not mess around over there, in the slightest. I cannot believe
that it is so well... I'm going off on a tangent here.
That's
I'm going sideways. Bear with me. Come along for the Luke Boner ride. When I go my daughter calls it bing bong. But I can't believe... knowing full well what the penalties for smuggling drugs into Thailand or Indonesia, Bali is, and people still do it.
Yeah, it makes no sense. I don't get it. I say it doesn't make any sense, but it's the same logic as to why it happens here. Everyone knows what the penalty is. Everyone knows that it's severe, but knowing that doesn't mean that they think it's going to happen to them because it's never happened to them before, right? So it's that confirmation bias. If it's never happened to me before, it's not going to happen to me this time. And then it does.
You know what? That's another topic for another chat.
Absolutely.
It's another topic for another chat. I went sideways. Back to this very serious court case. When do you reckon it will go to court? I'm hearing opinions anywhere from 1 year to 3 years. Well, what's your professional opinion? When will this go to court?
I think the 1 year to 3 year estimate is good. And the reason that it's such a big range is that if this were anyone else, if this was any other indictable matter, even strictly indictable, which means, well, without getting into that, it just means really serious offending. I would say it's probably more towards the 3 year side. But because it's so high profile, it's up to the government how they arrange, and it's up to the court how they arrange which cases get heard first. Because this is so high profile, it may well be pushed to the front of the line. I'm not saying that it will happen. I'm not saying that would be the reasoning, but that's why the range of 1 to 3 years is good on both ends.
Here's a question. If Ben Roberts-Smith has, not if, he vigorously fought that defamation case and appealed it.
Yep.
Why didn't he immediately, on his arrest off that plane from Brisbane to Sydney, taken away and charged, immediately refuse bail, had to apply for bail a week later?
Yep.
But why hasn't he immediately entered a plea of not guilty? Is that a reasonable question?
It's a great question, actually, and it's one that I wouldn't have even thought to answer. So it may well be the case that at this stage he can't. So where we're talking about the indictable process, at least currently, we're going through things like And these are all going to be strange phrases. We're going through things like case conferencing, charge certification, all that nonsense, right? It's a really, really lengthy process. So you have to get through that to know what you may or may not be pleading guilty to. Now, charge certification means that the prosecution, so let's use the word DPP, even though it's the Commonwealth here, the public prosecutors have to decide which charges they're going to ultimately file, which means the ones that they're ultimately relying on. Yeah. After that stage, you go through what's often referred to, even though it's not the case, as plea deals. We don't have plea deals here. We have charge negotiation or case conferencing. And that's where you say, well, if we were going to plead to this, we would want it to be described differently, or you'd want it to be a slightly different offence, right? Because this is so high profile, I just don't see this happening. And because Ben, in the public eye at least, has been so vigorously saying that none of this ever happened, I think this is just going to go through that process relatively smoothly, where he maintains his innocence. And then we end up at a trial. I think, from the public interest component, I think it would do an awful lot of damage if there were some pleas of guilty entered because A, nobody understands the process, they've never been taught it, and B, that muddies the water a lot further. But that's a decision only he and his legal team can make.
There's a lot more to this very, very tricky and important onion yet to be unpeeled. I know you're incredibly busy. And James, as I've said, I discovered you on YouTube, and I just think you're fantastic. How do people find you and your podcast?
Yeah, so really easy. Go to YouTube, type in James Glissan. I'll be the first thing to pop up.
I'm educated. It's fantastic. Well done. Well done, my learned friend.
Thanks, mate. Pleasure as always. Anytime you want me, I'll come on.
Welcome to a show called The Man Cave. Man Cave. With Boner on the mic, it's a good day. Good day. Adam McDonald and Kelsey too. Thomas behind the scenes, producing all the goods. Have a good time on a Friday. Friday. Or anytime.
Oh, g'day and welcome to another Bonafide Man Cave, with lots to talk about and a very, very special guest of the Man Cave. But first of all, my vice captain, who has been with me for a long, long time now. In fact, Adam first came into my life in a professional sense. Spark in his eye, a head full of dreams, a heart full of passion, but unfortunately not much anywhere else. However,
a head full of hair. I have a lot.
From Evans Hastings, the man who is the expert on memorabilia, Adam McDonald. Insert applause here.
Hey, smattering of applause. Thank you, Skipper. Good to be back.
Luke, I'm pretty sure if you click the second button on your Rodecaster, it will applaud. Press it
really?
now. Yeah, just press it. That's not what I was expecting.
Close.
Just like when he was on air.
Oh, God, I should not have shown you.
You've unleashed him now.
There we go.
I've got sound effects. I didn't even know I had them. And can I just welcome to the Man Cave my brother from another mother, Mark Beretta. Yay!
Luke. Hey, guys. Good to be with you, fellas.
Oh, no, that's not applause.
I get that a lot.
Mark Beretta, great to see your face. Miss you so much on Sunrise with your input and your sport, but we do get to see you on Sunrise because of that wonderful cause that you're an ambassador for, Tour de Cure. So it's always good to catch up with you, brother. Lots to talk about here, so welcome to a little bit of mayhem.
Love mayhem and love your mayhem, Luke.
Barrett's, do you miss the daily thrust of getting up at 2 o'clock in the morning, being in at Channel 7 at 3:30, makeup, hair?
Yes.
Oh, Adam wouldn't worry about it. But hair and the cut and thrust of daily news television. Do you miss it?
Yeah, I miss that bit of it. I miss the being up and into it and sort of having the jump on the day. What I've discovered is a whole new world called mornings, where you can get up and actually do things. And you can sleep in when you want to, which I don't. I sleep until about 4 o'clock at the moment because that's just been burned into me from 22 years.
Yeah.
But no, I miss the people. I miss the team I work with because we'd been together a long time and we still catch up a lot. I had a great catch up with Koshi just a couple of weeks ago. So no, life's good, mate. I must admit, there comes a time where you you need to move on. You've got to do something different. And the reality is for all of us, you actually get to a point when you realize you've got limited time. Like if you're going to do something, you better do it because the clock's ticking. And it was just the right time for me. You know, I'd done 22 years at Sunrise. Those 3 o'clock wake-ups, they had become a bit challenging. And it was just the right time to go and do something different. And to be honest, mate, I'm loving this new world that I've found, you know, and I'm not fatigued during the day. I don't feel like I've been on a 24-hour flight most days. It just feels good. I'm actually a fair bit healthier and just enjoying getting out and about and doing things and doing a lot of things that I've sort of always wanted to do. So that's been fun.
But do you still, when you go out to restaurants or hotels or when you're out socially, do people still come up and want a selfie with you? Do they still recognise you? That's the main thing.
Look, I don't know if it's the main thing, but they're very kind. They've been very good. And the number of people who've been kind enough to say to me, hey, we miss you in the morning, miss seeing your ugly mug and, you know, getting the sports news and things. And I really appreciate that because you don't realise, and you know this, when you're in the trenches, and it's, you know, it's not really like being in the trenches, but when you're doing what you're doing, you don't think much about how that impacts people and whether people are actually listening or not. Yeah. And, you know, when it all ends, it's been really good. I've been amazed at people's reaction, and they've been really kind, which is good. And no one's actually said to me, "Thank God you're gone. You really used to give us the shits." So it's been good.
Well, I think you'd be part of people's morning routine. You know, you get up, you put the TV on, you listen to Mark, you're having your tea and toast. You'd be part of the daily vernacular.
Yeah, Adam, someone explained it to me the other day in a really nice way, is that you become a regular in people's lives.
Yeah.
So for a lot of people, particularly in the heyday of Sunrise, you know, I guess the Koshy era, was when, you know, people really, they woke up with Sunrise. You know, they started their day. That was it. You know, you got up, you turned the TV on, and particularly often a lot of people who were, you know, who whatever reason were on their own, often people who'd moved interstate on their own or had stepped out from the family, you know, when they were on their own, we became their family, and that's the way that we wanted it. It was great. So that was a really important thing, and making that connection with people lasts a long time.
I've got to tell you something, Beretta. I think Sunrise might be in trouble because before I started being a contributor on Sunrise, Kelsey's mum, Nikki, the Minister for War and Finance, she loved Carl. And so she used to watch Today. And then when I started doing work on Channel 7, she switched across. And I hate to tell you this, but she's got the hots for you. And now you usurped Carl. So she's watching Channel 7 not because of me, but because of you. So they could be in trouble.
I think between the two major morning shows, like it's like you're either a Holden fan or a Ford fan. Like you don't change. Like that's just what I watch. To get the minister to change stations, that's a big thing. That's like going from, you know, you're a Ford to a Holden guy.
So which one are you, Beretta? You'd be Holden.
I would be. Now, funny story that, because I grew up in Geelong, which is, you know, Detroit, the home of Ford, I'm a Holden man, yes. Yeah, Dad had these magnificent Holden Brohms. They were incredible cars, and we loved them. And I'm a massive fan of Scafie, good mate of Scafie's, and always have been. And you know, so yeah, and Brocky. I mean, Brocky. I was the era, you know, when Brocky was racing, and there was just Peter Brock and Holden, and you know that was just life. So I'd be Holden for sure.
I'm a Holden guy, and I grew up in Broadmeadows. And there was a big Ford factory in Broadie.
You're in enemy territory.
I can't go back to Broadie anymore, I tell you.
Not in the Holden.
No.
Beretta, you've been and done how many Bathurst 1000s now?
My first one was in 1997, and I got a call up to go and host it as the 7-person, and I had to sit along a bloke who had just retired from racing and knew a little bit about the sport, and his name was Peter Brock. Wow. And could you imagine? Like, I've gone to my first Bathurst in 97. I'm just blown away by the place and the whole experience. And then I have to sit next to Brocky, who is my idol, and I can hardly speak, to be honest. And I've got to try and get through this all-day broadcast. And it was one of my greatest memories was that. And over the years, we did plenty of work. Brocky joined 7 as a commentator on motorsport. And I got to spend an incredible amount of time with him and really became great mates, to the point that when he retired officially away from all motorsport, he rang me and we took a Channel 7 camera and spent the morning with him. So we had brekkie with the family at home. He then drove us into the Holden racing team, where he then gathered the team and told them that he was done for good, and it was pretty amazing. One of my greatest memories is driving through Melbourne in a Holden SS Commodore with Brocky at the wheel. That was pretty cool.
It's a shame how Peter Brock's relationship with Holden ended with the polarizer thing, and I knew Peter. I knew terrible. Peter really well as well, because I lived in Bathurst from '84 to '99, and I loved him. And he was such an ambassador for the sport. And then I was worried that he was getting a bit woohoo with this polarizer. Holden could not justify charging the extra money, otherwise they could have got sued. And they were asking extra money for this polarizer.
What's a polarizer?
Let's explain to Kelsey what the polarizer. Kelsey, just Google Peter Brock polarizer, and you'll see this little box with rainbows on it.
Yeah,
Beretta, explain.
Explain it. Wow. Well, the idea was it was going to improve performance of the car, if I remember right. It was going to do all sorts of wonderful things, but there was no scientific backing to it, and Brocky just became obsessed with it. It was it. And when Holden rejected it, it was wow. That was the greatest sponsor athlete blow up probably in Australian history. This national brand and this national icon just at loggerheads, and it split the association, you're right. And it was, just amazing to see.
Why does it look like something off Back to the Future?
Because it was ahead of its time.
Does it work?
No, it does not work.
So it was this little box of magnets and crystals, and Brocky swore by it. Holden said, we can't justify having this in the car and make claims that can't be proven scientifically. And they parted company. It was such a sad thing, Barretts, wasn't it?
Yeah, it really was. A national icon and a great national brand. And this partnership that was almost inseparable blew up, and it was massive at the time. But Brocky was an interesting character like that. When he believed in something, he was madly passionate about. If I remember right, I don't think certainly the later stage, I don't think he drank. I remember him having herbal tea a lot. He was always a herbal tea guy. But amazing quality of being able to connect with people. Rocky would, his ability to have a conversation with you and make you feel that you were the only person in the world at that time, and just fully engage was a real credit to him.
Yeah, he did drink a lot, and he smoked before he joined Harry Firth. At Holden, and he completely changed around. But he did drink and smoke, but he gave that away. But 9 Bathurst wins, unbelievable.
Unsurpassed.
And and having seen him in action, signing autographs, and he wouldn't leave until the last kid had left. Unbelievable. Barretts, the whole country reached its arms out to you when you lost your mum last year, and it was very, very sad.
Dad.
Sorry, your mum wasn't well. Sorry, and when you lost your dad last year, and has that really sparked your Tour de Cure passion going?
Yeah, very much. When I started with Tour de Cure 18 years ago, we didn't have a connection to cancer at all. And it was just this is a good thing to do, almost a bit of a pay it forward. It was just for me, it was a personal challenge at the time for a good cause. It was as simple as that. And then 7 years ago, Mum developed ovarian cancer. That moved to stage 4. She's still fighting on. She's as tough as nails. And they call it, her oncologist calls her the miracle, because she just hangs in there, which is brilliant. And while that was happening, my dad, like a lot of guys his era, kept probably very quiet about his own cancer. He had lymphoma, and he went into remission a couple of years ago, and then it came back in the start of last year, and it came back hard. And by September, he was gone. And it was a just incredible time for the family. It was I took a lot of time off work and went and spent a lot of time by his bedside. We actually ended up setting him up in a hospital bed in the lounge room at the family home. And he had his final days there, surrounded by the family. We watched, the day before he passed away was the AFL Grand Final. We watched that together. And Geelong got hammered, which was not the ideal result for Dad. But, it was quite a special time. And, he said lots of things that he needed to say to me, and I said lots of things that I had lots of questions and things I wanted to talk to him about. And it was the most special time. It was just, I'll treasure it forever. It was really, really good time.
We do tend to have a bit of fun here in the Man Cave, but this is such an important topic. I'll stay with it for a sec.
Yeah.
I lost my dad when he was in his mid-60s, and he dropped dead of a heart attack, massive heart attack. In fact, the coroner said he just fainted. He'd gone before he hit the floor. And I'm glad that he went out of pain and didn't suffer. But I miss not being able to do what you did with your dad.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
I don't know what I prefer. See someone suffer and go through a long illness, but have the chance to say goodbye and tell them how I really felt, or to have them suddenly go without any suffering. I don't know what the answer is, Brett.
Yeah, and neither do I, Luke. I to see a man who was so strong and so capable. My dad was a plumber all his life. When I say all his life, like into his mid-70s. And he was just an icon of a man. And people, when he, at his funeral, we didn't expect it, but it was standing room only in St Mary's Cathedral in Geelong. It was massive. And I had no idea the amount of people that he touched, but he was a great community man. And I've never met anyone who's done more for the community than my old man. And, to have that time to talk to him, but to see a man like that, just, wither away in illness was hard, but also to spend that time with him was precious too.
Yeah.
So it's 50-50, Luke.
My stepfather raised me, and I lost him when he was 49. I was 19.
Wow.
He was a military man, so he was the strongest man in the world. I owe everything, my work ethic, my backbone, everything to this man. And we weren't his kids, but he took us on him as his own. I was 19. He did the same. He dropped dead of a heart attack. And for that reason, like my Mark, I've got a boy who's 18 now. We call him Wonder Boy on the podcast. I speak to him every day, and I tell him I love him every day. And he does the same. And because of this reason, I remember I was going to work. I'd been out on the cans the night before, and the old man came in and knocked on my door and said, "You got to get up and go to work. I don't give a shit what you do the night before, but the day you can't get up and go to work is the day it stops." And I said, "Yeah, that's a fair call." So I did. I got up and go to work, and then I got the phone call in the afternoon that we'd lost him. So the last interaction I had with this man was get up and go to work. And that's purely the reason why I don't take sick days. I get paid to do a job, and I do it every single day.
Yeah, it's good. They, I don't know, fathers just have a special impact, particularly on boys. And I'm the same with my son, Dan, who's now 18. And he's good now. Like it's almost a race at the end of a phone call to say, "I love you" first.
Yeah.
It's really, and I never did that with my dad. My dad was not, he was a tough old plumber. And
exactly.
We didn't hug till much later in life. And, we didn't say, "I love you" a lot. But then when we did in those last few years, it really meant something. And it's something I reckon I hope all blokes embrace, the importance of not just being that dad and that leader and that I guess that role model, but also being, sensitive and understanding too, and giving a hug and saying "I love you" and talking about how you feel.
Barretts, you are co-hosting the Cure Ball in Canberra. It's coming up on the 16th of May.
Yeah, it's a big night in Canberra. It's the second time we've done a Tour to Cure fundraiser in Canberra. Great night at the Hyatt Hotel. Beautiful hotel. Good fun crowd. Not a big one, about 300 people. So it's kind of intimate, but really good fun crowd. Great night out. We had a bender last year. It was just great. And carried on in the city in Canberra, and we decided it was so much fun we'd do it again, and we raised some good money for cancer research as well.
Hey, Adam, you should go. You're in Canberra.
Yes, you should.
I should go.
You should meet up.
Yes.
Great, let's do it.
I'll get your details. I'd love to come along.
Yeah, good. It's a good night, mate. I guarantee you a good night. And just squaring away with Lion Nathan, a bit of support at the moment, so you won't go thirsty.
Yeah,
EHVA should get a table and invite me.
Yeah,
invite Kelsey. Kelsey will go.
Great, done.
Kelsey, I would go.
Yeah,
we'll make a night of it.
What's the dress regulations?
I think it's black ties. So you're gonna have to step up a little bit.
Beauty.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
So, Kelsey, you have to frock up. Isn't it great being a bloke? All we're going to do is put on a suit, and the girls spend hours getting every detail, and we just put on a suit and rock up.
Yeah. Even picking the right dress is a drama. That is a long ordeal.
Oh, okay. Yeah. The other day, we were going into 2GB, and I was doing my makeup in the car because I ran out of time, and Luke literally put on jeans just before we left and was like, "All right, here we go." It was very annoying.
Anyway, it is great being a bloke. Barretts, another highlight of Anzac Day on Channel 7 has always been the Currumbin Dawn service. What a special place that is. And I've always loved your your emceeing and the fact you really embrace Anzac Day. Well, this year Channel 7 went to the Cenotaph in Martin Place, and I was on Sunrise later that morning, and I was absolutely horrified when an Indigenous elder was booed. It was Welcome to Country, and I understand that that's divisive, and a lot of people, including myself, I don't go along with Welcome to Country. But booing on Anzac Day to me is the most sacrilegious thing you can do, especially when he was talking about his grandfather who was in the Light Horse, his two brothers that had served in Vietnam. He too had served here in Australia in a capacity, and there was booing on Anzac Day. Now, I said this, and I'm going to shut up now because I'm dying to hear both your opinions. I had a picture, when I was on Sunrise, I had a picture of my pop, James Rupert Reed, who served at Villas Bretno, and they asked me, what do you think your pop would say about the booing? And I don't know, because did he fight like many others for the right to be able to boo when you want to boo? Yes, it was distasteful. Yes, it was sacrilegious to me. But should it be illegal to boo on Anzac Day? Who wants to go first on this?
I'll go. I don't think it should be illegal. I think this whole idea of we don't like it, make it illegal, put people in jail is horseshit. You've just got to educate people to know that that's the wrong thing to do. It's not necessary. You might have your own opinions, but opinions are like arseholes and everybody's got one. Keep it to yourself. You don't need to be, especially on, like you touched on, Luke, a sacrilegious day like Anzac Day. If you don't like what's happening at the service, don't go. You're not required to go. Don't go. Stay at home with your views and boo yourself in the mirror. But to do it at these events is it's just ridiculous. But making it illegal, making everything illegal is ridiculous. I think, but there's too many laws as it is.
Yeah, Beretta, we've got these new hate crimes now, which have been debated vigorously. Could you see the day where booing, where it's deemed to be offensive, it could mean a criminal charge?
Well, that's sort of there already, isn't it? Because there's public nuisance or, conduct disturbing the peace, whatever that is. So that's in place. Police can act on that. That booing, for me personally, I was just disgusted. I think it's just not the day. If you've got an objection or protest to anything, Anzac Day is not the day to be doing it. But I did see one of the Navy commanders gave a great grab, and he talked about it, and he was asked just that question, is how do you feel about it? And he answered this, I thought, beautifully. He said, he said that he didn't like it personally, wasn't comfortable with it, but he said that is what we in the Defence Force fight to protect Australians' right to speak and to protest and to have the freedom of speech. So it's a really tricky one. I think you've just got to be aware, look, if you're going to make a protest and any form of protest, it's the time and the place that you do it. And Anzac Day is not the day. That morning, and that wonderful man who was speaking at the time, had such a great story, as you say, Luke, about Anzac Day, and I think he was a member of the 214, the Light Horse. Just an amazing story about his family history, and to be interrupted like that on a solemn morning, Australia's most solemn morning, was just way out of taste and way out of step. And I wish police had have acted quickly and just moved him away. Because they've got the power to do that. He was causing a public nuisance on a very important day, and we've just got to get a little bit tougher with some of these people. A little bit less tolerance, and there's such a small annoying minority that I understand your right to protest, but pick your time and place, please, carefully, because days like that was just not right at all.
The new Liberal leader Angus Taylor has said that he thinks that Welcome to Country has gotten out of control and is often performed unnecessarily. I don't go with Welcome to Country. I don't feel I need to be welcomed to my own country, and I'm speaking as a Wiradjuri. Proud Wiradjuri. I think it's overdone. Is Welcome to Country appropriate at Anzac Day when we are remembering in the most solemn way thousands and thousands of Australians who have saved this country? Is Welcome to Country? Angus Taylor says it's overused. Who wants to go?
Yes, it's absolutely necessary.
Yeah, I think it's necessary at these events such as Anzac Day, but having a Welcome to Country when you're opening the school fete, I guess it is getting overdone, and it's losing its meaning because it's getting done so many times. So at these big events, the grand final, Anzac Day, all these sort of events, yes, I'm all for it. I've got no issue with it, but it is getting overused, and it seems like every time someone opens an envelope, there's a welcome to country.
Adam, I go to a meeting and there is a acknowledgement of country at the start of the meeting, and you're right. It wears away the importance of it. It loses its sense of occasion. Done right, a welcome to country is magnificent, and a smoking ceremony is magnificent because it connects us as Australians, and it comes both ways. It's a real meeting of cultures. I think it's great, but done in the right place and done for the right occasion. And I'm in two minds about Anzac Day, to be honest, because I think on Anzac Day we're so in the mindset of the Anzacs and that sense of sacrifice, and it is a solemn occasion. Is the welcome to country an acknowledgement of country the right thing? I'm not sure. Having said that, Defence Force has its own version of welcome to country, which specifically acknowledges the role of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders and what they have done for Australia in times of peace and war. And it's beautiful, and it's beautiful for Anzac Day. And I think maybe that is the version of acknowledgement that is done on Anzac Day, because it recognises the incredible service of Indigenous Australians and Aboriginal people over the years in the Defence Force, which has an incredible history. And if you've ever ventured north and you've come across North Force and the Indigenous Aboriginal soldiers up there, they are unbelievable. These are people who know their country, protect their country. They are an incredible fighting force. They always have been. And to be honest, thank God they're up there, because any adversary who's coming to this nation who thinks they're going to get through those guys has got another thing coming. They are outstanding.
Is the national anthem overdone? Should we sing the national anthem at state of origin, or do we only sing the national anthem when it's Australia playing another country?
Yeah, I think that's right. I think that is overdone as well. All this pomp and pageantry, it just gets out of hand. Like, you even when you turn the footy on, there's 25 minutes worth of just hoopla. Like, it's just shit. The welcome to country, the national anthem, all this stuff. We don't need it. Like, I'm there to watch the football. Let's get on with the game. Big events, yes. But, I'm opening an envelope and singing the national anthem. It is getting out of control.
Bloody hell, Adam, you are tough, mate. You are tough. See, I'm the opposite, mate. I can have the national anthem of this country all day long. I love it, and I love the occasion. I love the emotion it stirs up. It does give a sense of occasion. Big occasion. State of origin is a big occasion. Our football grand finals are a big occasion where the nation's focus is there, and we should celebrate the national anthem because we're celebrating our culture and the people we are. I wish it was easier to sing because I have trouble hitting those high notes, but I will belt that anthem out every day, and it really means something to me. But I've also had the privilege of serving Army Reserve, and I sort of understand that it means a lot more to people than when you're serving in uniform. It's extra special. So I'm a bit of a sucker for the national anthem. I bloody love the thing.
Are you guys confident that you know all the words to the national anthem?
I only know the first verse.
Second verse.
I only know the first.
I only know the first.
Yeah.
Is it gold and soil or golden soil?
Golden.
It's golden.
If it was gold and soil, geez, you talk about immigration, we overrun.
We'd take the gold and soil.
We had
a gold rush, didn't we?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, good on you, Kelsey. Yeah. Ballarat.
Kelsey, have you heard of the Eureka Stockade?
Oh, I've heard of it.
Kelsey,
I can't really remember the story behind
Kelsey,
it.
you lived in Bathurst for how long? Hill End, Safari.
I'm not going to the bloody history museum.
With the Gold Panna on the entrance to Bathurst at Raglan on the right-hand side, the Gold Panna Hotel caravan.
Massive thing.
Yeah, did you wonder why that was there, Kelsey?
Well, I knew that Bathurst was a gold mining town. I knew that.
There you go.
We have a gold rush. Jesus.
No, but it is golden soil. It's golden soil.
I loved Shane Jacobson in the movie Kenny. Australians let us all ring Joyce. They thought that. Who's Joyce and why do we have to ring her?
The kids at school, here's a classic. I only learned this the other day, right? The kids at school learn the first line, Australians all love ostriches. And I can't remember the second lines, but the kids learn a different, a way that they can sing it. Classic. How kids will have a bit of fun with anything. But I'll tell you what we did
Australians all let us ring
morning.
Joyce.
I heard the kids at North Bondi Primary School sing the national anthem, and they sang the New Zealand national anthem, and then they sang the Australian national anthem, 2 verses, and it was spine-tingling. It was fantastic, and they were just brilliant. So thumbs up and hats off, and well done, kids of North Bondi Primary School.
I don't think I've got any idea what the New Zealand anthem sounds like.
Oh,
it's a good one.
I could probably sing it. I've heard it so many times before sports fixtures.
Yes, yes.
I'll insert a clip here.
Bledisloe Cup. Jeepers creepers. You hear the New Zealand national anthem way too often, as we will at the Commonwealth Games, I'm sure. Barrett's, the Commonwealth Games, are they relevant?
Absolutely. 72 nations. Look, I think
I couldn't give a rat's. I want Olympic. I want Olympic gold. I don't care.
Yeah, good. That's nice for you. But it's the second biggest sporting event in the world. You know, like it's massive. Beside the Olympic Games, that's it, and it's our family. It's our Commonwealth family. However you look at it, it's a great thing. And you look at all of those athletes. Little names like Ian Thorpe, Kathy Freeman, all got their start at Commonwealth Games, all won Commonwealth Games gold before they won Olympic gold. It's an amazing stepping stone. It's awesome for our athletes. It is the one games where our wheelchair athletes and disabled athletes are integrated with the able-bodied program, so it all happens together. It's not separated like Olympics and Paralympics. In a lot of ways, it's a forerunner, and it's, as I said, 72 nations. It's about, if I remember right, it's about 4,000 or 5,000 athletes, although this will be a small one. The Glasgow Games, funded by Melbourne, will be a smaller one. But no, it's got its place, mate, and it's fantastic. And you know what? Anything that brings the youth of the world together, that where people get to know each other, they break down barriers and they form lifelong friendships, bloody double thumbs up. It's a great idea.
Yeah. I'm kind of with Luke on this. It's kind of like winning the grand final in B grade.
You are such a party pooper.
Bloody hell, you two.
Such a party
Do you know what I mean?
pooper.
But like Luke said, believe it or not, I'm no athlete. All right, I'll just throw that out there.
Surprise, surprise.
Okay,
Oh,
I'll throw that out right now. But if you're an athlete, you want to be going against the best of the best of the best to test yourself. And the Commonwealth is you're going against the neighbourhood kids.
Zimbabwe and Fiji.
Yeah, because they can't run. Look, I would, mate, I would challenge you. You find me a Commonwealth Games gold medalist from Birmingham who says that medal didn't mean anything to me and representing my country didn't mean anything to me. I'll just pass and I'd rather just go to Olympics.
I don't
Absolutely
doubt that
not.
for 1 second.
You know, and they still have world championships. All of that's on the agenda. But this is a fair dinkum event. And the swimming nations are strong. The track and field nations. I mean, crikey, in the marathon, you've probably got every great marathon nation in the world anyway there. So, it's definitely got its place. I'm sad it's shrunk because they have had to, because Melbourne didn't provide all the budget for Glasgow, so they've had to shrink the event a little bit to keep it rolling. But I hope it grows back to its greatness. And I've seen so many great performances at Commonwealth Games over the years. And gosh, you remember Kathy Freeman in Canada and Victoria when she ran with the Indigenous flag and the Australian flag. That is sporting and cultural history right there, and happened at a Commonwealth Games.
Well, the biggest sporting event in the world is the FIFA World Cup, then the Olympics.
Well, that's debatable, but they both claim to be the biggest sporting event in the world. Yep.
Okay, let me ask you this.
But also, isn't it good that, Adam, your so-called B-grade athletes or whatever, like some people, that is a huge accomplishment. Some people will never get to the Olympics, but saying that they made it to the Commonwealth Games is like such a motivation.
Yeah,
you know?
I'm not saying it's not. And to get to the Commonwealth Games,
It's the World Championships.
It's the lifelong journey. It's like you're training every day. Like, I get it, but the Olympics is the pinnacle. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. And no one's arguing that, mate. But the Com Games has got its place. You know,
I watch it every time it's on. I watch it, no doubt. You know, it's great watching these athletes go through what they do and get to where they need to.
I'm being a little bit selfish here because I look at my favourite sport, basketball, and if we won a gold, I couldn't give a rat's. I want that Olympic bronze medal that we won was the biggest thing in my lifetime that I've ever seen.
And fair enough too.
Thank you,
I'll give you a funny
Paddy
fact,
Mills.
just to round this out before you go on a love rant with Paddy Mills. in my time at 7, and I don't know it's still the case, I suspect it might be, but Commonwealth Games actually used to outrate the Olympic Games because of the Australian success, because of the number of medals we win. So you could
Robert De Castella.
Yeah, pretty much any time. Oh, what about that? If that's not one of the greatest things you've ever seen, his run in Brisbane in 1992 at the Commonwealth Games.
Robert De Castella, I remember watching
Matilda the
that.
kangaroo, when all the kids came out of Matilda's pouch. How good was that?
The winking kangaroo. Barrett's, one more sport question. We have gone a bit sideways here, Vice Captain, because we've got Barrett's, who's the sport expert. But I've got to ask you this. Are the Matildas overrated? They draw huge crowds. They get a lot of publicity, and Sam Kerr is one of the most recognised faces in the world, let alone Australia. But they haven't won anything. Are the Matildas overrated?
You would be familiar with a guy called Marty Sheargold, Luke.
That's exactly what I was about to say. That's
but I'm not on Triple M. I'm not bagging them. I'm not bagging them. I am not bagging them.
No. I'll say this, mate. For what they do, what is overrated? I mean, for what they achieve, for what they've done to bring the nation together, I reckon you could probably name, I reckon most Australians could name a handful of Matildas, which in the national side is pretty good. They have inspired a nation in sport. They've inspired young girls to get out and play sport, do football. Are they overrated, mate? I don't think so. You know, they haven't achieved great international success, but crikey, they're in a tough environment. Like, we are taking on the world's best football nations. We're a little nation of, what are we, about 28 million at the moment. We're punching above our weight. That's the bottom line. You look at that, the world ranking is fantastic, Adam.
To get to where they are, I'm gathering, I'm going to call it soccer. Soccer would be the most played sport in the world. Is that correct?
Yeah.
I'm making it up.
It's the world game. Yep.
It's the world game, right? So, like Beretta said, for a dusty little nation down in the Pacific Ocean to be world ranked, I think it's a massive achievement. Yeah. And like you said, the best thing about them is inspiring these other young women to get out and play sports because they're absolute role models. So if they get a fourth, great. But now you've got another next generation of young girls that want to play sports and want to play football.
Yeah, well,
I watched them at the Olympics in Brazil when they were bumped out by Brazil in Rio in 2026, and it was tough, but they were fantastic. I mean, they really took it to one of the world's great powerhouse football nations, and I just made us so proud that night. And I actually caught up with them for a drink afterwards after that and got to know Sam Kerr then and Alana Kennedy and a whole bunch of them. I have the greatest respect for them. I think Sam Kerr is a legitimate superstar. Put her in any sport and she'll be one of the best in the world. But thank goodness we've got her in football for Australia because she's a ripper. And girls look at her and go, yeah, I want to be like Sam Kerr. And that's what we want. And even young fellas are looking at her saying, yeah, that's awesome skill.
Yeah. Barrett's, I got nothing, but I just wanted to stir the pot. I was just geeing you up. But
you, Luke.
But I got to say this. How many kids, let alone Indigenous kids, took up little athletics because of Kathy at 2000?
Yeah.
Oh, that is single-handedly the best moment in sports ever. And it won't be touched. It won't be beaten. The weight of the world was on that woman's shoulders and she nailed it.
Yeah. See, for my generation, that moment is the Matildas in was it the semi-final, whatever final
the
it was?
Penalty shootout. The penalty shootout.
Oh, that, to me, even though did they win that game? I can't remember.
It was the penalty shootout, I think she's talking about, Barrett's.
Yeah, and I've never watched soccer in my whole entire life. We got kicked off my soccer team for doing cartwheels on the pitch. To me and my generation, that moment is the moment I feel that the whole of Australia came around the Matildas and got around. That is my Kathy Freeman moment. Just saying.
Yeah,
that's a very good point, Kelsey.
Can I tell you a quick Kathy Freeman story?
Yeah.
In Atlanta in 1996, she ran second to Jose Marie Perec, the French girl, remember her?
Yeah.
The one who came to Sydney and then bolted before the start of the event because she basically shat herself. When Kathy ran second, she went to the stand to her mum and she gave her a big hug and she said to her mum, I'm really sorry you came all this way and I disappointed you. She said, I won't disappoint you in Sydney in 2000. And sure enough, she kept her promise true and she won that gold medal in Sydney and just stopped the nation. I think it's still the most watched sporting moment in Australian history.
Yeah, it will be. It won't be beaten. Like, everything about it, the opening ceremony when she's standing in the bloody rain, like everything about it.
Yeah. And the cauldron malfunction. You've got so many great stories. That's the way we went today. I hope you don't mind.
No, that's great. Love it. Just means we'll have to come back, Luke and Adam, and do it again.
Absolutely.
Your beauty.
With a new computer for Luke.
Oh, I'm about to write. Adam McDonald, Evans Hastings, thank you so much, brother. Good to see you again. And Mark Barretts, love you, mate.
Good on you
Thanks,
guys.
boys. Thanks,
Great
Kels.
chat. Love you. See ya.
Thank you so much for listening. More to come. Plenty of podcasts up our sleeve. National Thank You Wave Day around the corner on the 8th of May. And merchandise to be had. Just contact us, Luke Boner, radioguy@gmail.com. Where can they see the merch?
Bonafidepod.com. Or click the link in the description. And Luke,
Oh, no.
do you have a thought of the day?
Life is like a sewer, Kelsey. What you get out of it depends entirely on what you put into it.
Oh, very good. Very good. Clap, clap, clap. Goodbye.